A brand new group of adventurers called No Direction arrive at the Dread Isles in pursuit of a quest that could award them with 10,000 gold each. But they can't pronounce the vampire general's name correctly, so they'll probably just insult him and die. Keep watching to find out what happens. Hello! Oh my goodness, we are back. It has been a long time. How are we all doing? You might spot some differences around here, namely me. Hello, it is a coup. So today maybe. But today and for a few sessions only, I, Clood, have control of the DMC. And we are D&D Boyband, a group of friends that all like to play handsome and beautiful boys, because it ain't fantasy unless everyone is banging. And I've always wanted to say that, so... Hey. Anyway, this is a original D&D mini-campaign set in our beloved Jamie's Homebrew world, Lakai. It's new. You'll learn about it soon. But here, I have created my own little section of the world, which I will now force my friends through, like courgettes through a spiralizer. And I am here to give Jamie a break and also flirt with my friends on multiple characters at once, where normally I am restricted to one. I am Dungeon Master Clood, and joining me tonight are No Direction. Is that what you settled on? Is that the boy band we are tonight? Okay, No Direction. Yeah. But let me introduce the gang. We have Jamie as Lucifer.
Hello.
Eski as Modi.
Hello.
Erin as Bray.
Hello.
Luke as Ahim.
Salam alaikum, motherfuckers.
Sai as Osiris.
Hello.
And our newest gang member, who you may remember as the voice puppeting our wizard NPCs in our final fight of Campaign 1, Ben as Mercy.
Hello, happy to be here.
Yay. So the only announcement is that there is an announcement on our second campaign coming soon. But yeah, watch our Discord and socials for everyone's beautiful new characters, news on that, emojis, hype material, whatever is to come. We're working on it. It's exciting. Yeah. Do we have anything else we want to say? Oh, we have a new overlay. Erin made it beautiful. Isn't it nice?
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm very proud of it.
All right. So.
Yeah, I guess announcement is thank you so much to Erin and Clood for all the effort and work that has gone into this, and I really appreciate the break.
Yeah, and also thanks so much to Jamie, who's writing a whole wiki, which y'all are going to be able to read through.
Maybe.
To kick off his new world.
Very excited for that.
So, maybe, without further ado, let us mose. If we were a channel with an intro, I'd play an intro video, but we don't have one, so I'll just do it with my voice. Okay. They say that no one living remembers the fall of Sacramar. 100 years ago, the country and its capital city Varsala fell to the man they only know to call Red Emperor. And then the mists rolled in. The island nation, now known as the Dread Isles, have sat veiled in fog ever since. For the last century, very few have made the journey to the tomb of the White City, save for the bravest of merchants whose ships return laden with treasures and wonders from islands they cannot talk about. But you, adventurers, No Direction, pay very little heed to the ghost stories warning you away from the shores of the Dread Isles. So when you found a call to arms posted half a world away from the General of Varsala, requesting help in liberating objects from their legendary divine vault of old in exchange for bare money, 10,000 gold each, it was a no-brainer. And so you set sail to where the living fear to go and the sun does not shine. And so you find yourselves now on the bow of a ship, at the end of your 10-day journey aboard the Shoalheart, captained by the only merchant you could find that has the right of passage to Varsala. Boyband, I would like you to describe your characters with the knowledge that for the last, let's say, 3 hours, you've sailed through mist so thick that you couldn't see more than 15 feet in front of you on the deck, and occasionally white, soft hands have cupped your chins, reaching out of the fog, then vanishing. So let's start with the top of the order on my screen. Ben, tell us about Mercy. How are they feeling?
Oh, there's probably a not visible, but a definite sense of nervous excitement brewing in them. The vault, the divine vault, is containing one of these these fate nexuses that they are very interested in finding, and they are conscious of the responsibility that they have in uncovering whatever might be causing this these aberrations of destiny from within this vault.
And what do your friends see when they look at you? Could you describe yourself and your demeanor?
So, to my long-standing fellow adventurers, they would know Mercy as a changeling with alabaster skin, like white hair, long white hair, and blank, soulless eyes. However, that's probably not the vision that they see most often. Mercy has a number of personas which they kind of shift through depending on where they are and the most common population that they're amongst. Amongst the humans, Mercy goes by the name Atropos, who is a large human man with long brown hair, scraggly beard, and looks about as kind of average Joe commoner as it's possible to be. And my fellow adventurers would know that Mercy has a number of these personas depending on where he goes or they go, both male and female. But in their original state, they are in fact this changeling. So currently, tall, 6'2", kind of trapper-looking dude, long, scraggly beard, and carrying a backpack, a cloak, intending to look about as unobtrusive as possible.
Got it. And Bray, you've had these hands touch your chin, run themselves down your arms, your shoulders occasionally. Occasionally you've had whispers of your name, in fact. How is Bray doing after 3 hours of this?
So when we first got on the boat, Bray was in his element. You guys have known from traveling with him for a long time that he spent most of his life on a boat. So this is his home. He was the one who negotiated with the crew to get us a better rate. He's been helping out with the rigging. Every time, something's gone wrong on the boat, he's been running across it to be like, oh, I'll fix it. And he's quite a talented carpenter as well. So he's just been getting out his tools and just, making sure the boat is as seaworthy as possible, which obviously is important considering so few people are willing to travel this route. However, as we got further along the ocean and the pillowy clouds started to kind of pull in and these wispy hands started to touch his face, you definitely saw his demeanor change. He is a little bit jumpy and would be like, what was that? And he's actually even pulled his great axe out a couple of times, like thinking something's attacked him, and like whipped around with it, which did actually at one point accidentally slice one of the ropes that was for the sails, and he had to quickly fix that. Thankfully that is now fixed, and we're back on course, but it was a little bit of drama earlier. Anyway, he has now learned to keep his axe sheathed, and he is just slightly unnerved whenever something touches him, but for the most part he's doing good. From your time traveling with him, well, obviously from looking at him, he is about 6'1", kind of red messy hair, a couple of freckles across the face, lots of scars on his face. It's pretty obvious where he's gotten those scars from. You can't take him anywhere without him somehow getting drunk and getting into a fight. Most of them are from scraps and brawls that you've seen him do over the time you've been traveling. There's a couple of ones that are fresh, some of them are old, and yeah, he's wearing kind of like a yellow kind of fisherman's kind of raincoat with kind of a blue turtleneck and some kind of cord wrapped around his neck. and some big wellies, and yeah, he's quite a friendly guy. You've enjoyed traveling with him so far. Oh, and the last detail is he is a hexblood, so he has some kind of like antler-like horns kind of growing out of the side of his head and kind of wrapping around almost like a bit of like a wreath. But he doesn't like to talk about his hexblood heritage that much, so that's still a little bit of a mystery to you guys.
Naughty boy.
Okay. And the captain of the ship, Captain Perillo, has watched you with hawk eyes at first, and her face kind of maybe softened over the course of your trip. I imagine you to have struck up a bit of a friendship. She appreciates the help very much. But Modi, you've not felt the way you feel right now, since you died, in fact. It's like awakening from your resurrection, almost. The stiffness in your limbs, the heaviness that sets into your body as this fog has rolled in around you. It feels so familiar. How are you doing on the ship, and what do your friends see?
So the moment he came on, he would have, any illusion that he would have had going through a human settlement would have been immediately dispelled, as he kind of like shrugged it off as if it was kind of like taking off a hat after a long day of work or something, you know. And now he's sitting down. He's this probably about 8 foot tall furbolg, actually quite muscly. He's got a big shield on his back, a big spear. And he's sitting down with his long, kind of quite modest looking attire, which is chainmail covered with a big brown cloak, and he's reading a book at the moment. And as the ship begins to sail into the mist and the kind of the thick fog and then the hint of undeath, you see him growing increasingly irritable and annoyed until he eventually kind of casts a little spell on himself. You see him say a little prayer, a little glow appears, and the mist seems to be kind of like pushed away from him at that point as he just sits down and continues reading his book while attempting to try and ignore the horrendous mist around him. But other than that, he's not been particularly sociable the whole time.
Okay. Ahim, the way these mists cling to you might feel almost a little bit welcoming. Your friends sort of dip in and out of vision, and maybe so do you. You feel veiled on the deck of the ship. Is that something you're used to?
I think for Arim, he feeling veiled might feel normal and comfortable to him. He's led a life of both poverty and extreme riches, kind of up and down, peaks and troughs of each throughout his life, and that's part and parcel where he's from. So who stands before you is a young human man, unremarkable height of about 5'7". No hate to 5'7" kings out there, by the way. Respect it. You meet a pair of floral colored eyes. They're kind of orange-green / hazel in color, but they sit within quite a serene, gentle face. He's got rich skin of a middling brown tone. So it's olive at its base, but clearly deepened by a life of sun. So despite this generous sunning, his skin remains immaculate and mostly unwrinkled as well, giving you the impression of that he's a human male of just shy of 20 years of age. His hair kind of follows suit, so it was clearly once a dark chocolatey brown color, but it's already flecked with almond colors, bronze bleaching, from having been from a land of high and heavy sunshine. His clothing he wears is traditional. It is a soft mustard yellowy color with geometric trimming of kind of, what color would you call it? Like a pine green color. It's definitely foreign to what most of you have seen, and its looseness definitely adds to that idea that this guy is from somewhere that is clearly very hot and clearly very dry. He doesn't seem to carry any weapons with himself, but he's quite tooled out. He's admiring the pottery of all things, the urns, and perhaps he's being accused once or twice of trying to steal water from the vessel's water supplies. But really, no, those that know him, he's really just admiring that pot and frankly thinks he could do a bit better. So he's a tradesman by trade, unlike the most adventurers. He seems relatively at ease in general, but you will know that he's fallen really quite seasick at points with the voyage. And beyond that, his body language gives off the air of business as usual, perhaps a little bit of impatience, and probably just quite tired of being confined to a vessel. This is a guy who likes to go places, do things, see things, victories, losses. Sitting on a ship for a long time, it's not for him. For those that know him on the ship, and those that know him well particularly, they know he's not really quite here for the money. There's always money at the end of what he does, but it's not really the main pursuit. It's often the challenge. So you would have heard him whispering to each of you in the nighttime, asking about the vault. The vault, what do you think it looks like? You know, it's a challenge, a task of life for him. Yeah, and that makes sense because those of you that know beyond his simple potter and artisanal exterior, he is a thief, a folklore legend from where he comes from. Well, this is our room.
Love it. Lucifer, the last time you were at sea, perhaps, you fought a sea dragon, and one of your party members died. I imagine this plays very heavily on your mind as you yet again find yourself in uncertain waters on board a vessel, on your way to do something which may again be exceptionally dangerous. How is Lucifer carrying himself?
So Lucifer is very much carrying himself as being on the edge, not scared, but kind of poised and prowling, like you imagine a cat or some predator is before it's ready to leap. He is standing on the bow, eyes kind of scanning the horizon, constantly looking around, checking on his no direction and party members, and is poised and tense. But those of you who know him well can tell he's stressed, his jaw is clenched. One of his nervous tics as he continues to summon and resummon his sword whilst looking out onto the horizon. He's got a bit of a switch in him. As you know, he can go from incredibly generous with his affections and kind and pleasant to be around to very intense very quickly. He's deeply competitive, and that intensity comes from his care for everybody. And so yes, the fact that last time on an adventure near the Endless Dream you fought a sea monster and one of you slain weighs very heavily on him, and he is determined that is not going to happen this time. In regards to his appearance, he is relatively tall, incredibly well built as a fighter. Kind of his muscles ripple ever so slightly through the shirt he's wearing. He's relatively tanned, however he very much has the very obvious markings of someone who grew up on the continent of Clitrella near the high heavens. He is human, however the energies of that place has slowly morphed his features. He has golden eyes and white hair and very slight and white stubble. His clothing is relatively simple with slightly gold inlay, and there's kind of chainmail underneath it. His sword, which he keeps summoning and resummoning, is relatively simple as well with a black handle. However, the blade is slightly longer than you'd expect, and it almost seems as it moves through the air to make a swishing sound, as though it's incredibly sharp and cutting the air. Those of you, as for the hands and the mist, given his family are a refugee from the Wars of Shame, he is relatively used to slightly spooky things happening. Growing up near Alafrara, one of the cities near Via Doloroso. This is kind of the first time I'm saying these words. I've just written them before. Near the Dead's Journey, and so whilst it's putting him on edge, he's not scared, and that's what Lucifer is doing. Pacing, probably, as well.
I love that you're lore dumping the new world surreptitiously to character exposition. And also, thank you for describing his muscles. I think we all needed that.
Yes, getting hot in here.
Osiris. Oh yes, Osiris Sunsong. We are sailing somewhere where there is no sun. What's your demeanor? Is it shining through the fog? Are you bringing the joy, Mr. Paladin?
Yep, Osiris is absolutely a bright light through all this dark mist. He looks completely unfazed. He is totally happy to be here. He is smiling at absolutely everyone. He could be on a sunny beach for all anyone knows by the look on his face. He is not perturbed at all by the spooky shit that's going on. So Osiris is a golden yellow tiefling with a sunny disposition and an even sunnier complexion. He stands at 5'4" if you count his horns poking out from a mess of scruffy chestnut-coloured hair. And it's pretty clear to everyone that he's a proud and passionate paladin. His shiny plate armor is adorned with holy symbols and brassy metalwork embellishments on the edges, although the details are worn enough that it's hard to make out exactly what deity it is Osiris worships. What he lacks in raw strength, he makes up for in enthusiasm, although if you do look closely enough when he's in combat, wielding his not very large sword seems to put quite a strain on him physically.
Bless.
Well,
All
that's
right.
perfect.
We love a short king. We stan. All right, so you are, as far as you know, sailing close to Varsala. In fact, the captain has announced that you should be making land any time now. You reflect this would probably be a good time to ask her anything you wanted to know going into the city. If you have any outstanding questions, if you'd like to learn anything about the lay of the land, you're aware she's been here many times before as one of the few captains who does have right to sail in Varsala. And interestingly, it seems her ship is equipped to do so. In fact, when she reached the edge of the mists, the sails came down, and there's been no one rowing the oars. It seems the ship has known where to go and guided itself. Despite the fact you've passed very close to jagged rocks from which you've seen masts and wreckages poking out on the way, you've made it through absolutely unscathed. The captain herself is a striking woman in her late 30s, potentially early 40s. Long, flowing hair, the colour of sea foam, and her skin shimmers with a faint, wet kind of sheen, which maybe marks her out to be water-related. She has piercing green eyes, which for you, Bray, you've kind of recognised as a captain who knows her stuff. She's in, her eyes see right through you. She's confident and bold, and her crew follow her unquestioningly. She seems to be carrying a heavy stock, which you've come to realise is food, in fact. She seems to be importing staples, vast amounts of it, in fact. This is a large ship. And she's made it quite clear that you're welcome to ask her anything you wish. So, no direction. I leave it to you aboard the ship. If there are any final preparations you would like to make, or questions you would like to ask, or just chats you would like to have.
Yeah, I have a question for El Capitan. May I?
She sees you approach and looks up at her. Yes, how can I help?
Yes. The food, what is it like here?
Is the food? It is not bad at all. It is mainly seafood, oysters, clams, all of that. Good wine, very good wine. I'd really
Wine.
recommend places
I
down
know,
the
but-
seafront.
You see, seafood. What is seafood?
It is the jewels of the sea. She kind of gestures out to waves that you cannot, in fact, see. Little fish, clams, octopi, all of that.
Arim seems a little confused. Yes, clams, I know. The pearls, but what are these jewels? What do you mean, jewels?
The clams are the jewels, but I mean also the pearls are the jewels. But what are you asking?
I'm asking what people eat here.
The clams.
But
She kinda,
why?
like, pauses.
You cannot eat these little things. They live on the bottom, and they. You can't.
No, but when you open them up, they are fleshy and a little salty, perhaps. But you season them with like the lemons, and it is delicious. In fact, delicacy.
Arim doesn't seem
Try it.
impressed.
When
His
you get to
brow
the
is
city, try
furrowed.
it. There are many places on the seafront. Beautiful, lovely view.
I think we are going to starve here.
I hope not.
Robso, what's the captain's name again?
Her name is Marga Perillo.
Captain Preller, if I may,
Yes.
how close exactly are you willing to take us?
I will take you right into the town. We will moor the docks. There will be a form of immigration for you to go through, and we will part ways there.
And every other captain we spoke to refused to take us even into these mists. Why did you say yes? And what do they fear?
It is because I have right of passage. That much is true. Many do not. To attain right to trade here, you need to be trusted, shall we say. Could you maybe make an insight check for me, please?
What's my... Oh my god, actually rolling.
I know, I'm sorry. I've asked for a dice roll. It's 25 minutes into the session.
14. So 12 plus 2.
14. Okay. She doesn't seem like she's lying, per se. But she does strike you perhaps as a little bit nervous. To say more. And she does... She's fairly free with what she'll tell you, but it all seems to be quite limited to quite surface level stuff.
Yeah. And what exactly was it you did to earn this rite of passage? Money? Trade? Just so we know how to ingratiate ourselves to the locals.
No, exactly. It is material wealth. If you bring them that, it is all good.
Does that seem like a lie?
She seems quite honest when she's saying that.
Okay.
In fact, what she seems to be guarded and like clipping herself on is like she'll tell you freely about bistros and stuff, right? Like really kind of trivial things in the grand scheme of things when you're sailing to somewhere called the Dread Isles, right? Like nothing she's saying is really giving you spooky Ghost Island with like horror stories and like when you hear other sailors talk about it, it's all like, yo, you hear that ship crashed. I saw the sailors walking atop the water, bones and flesh, all of it. Like, it really doesn't match.
Then we shall have to make an offering to the nearest mayor, whoever.
Recommend it, yes. So there is in fact an opportunity for you to do that. When they ask for a tithe, give it. And
I appreciate the advice.
do not test their restrictions.
Can I... so, over the last 10 days, Mercy might have, if they felt like something was being kept, have shaped into the form of one of the crew. Would the crew have spoken about a tithe, quote marks, in terms where they're scared? Are they being sacrificed, or would they have been more frank about the tithe that their captain exacts for these journeys?
So, interestingly, it seems like a lot of the crew don't actually leave the ship when they dock at Varsala. A few of them have expressed a wistful sort of, yeah, I wish I could go ashore, though. Like, you get the sense that actually it seems to be the captain and the captain alone who's allowed to progress into the city. As for the tithe, they don't seem to have much in the way of wisdom on that. That seems to be something that the captain alone is privy to.
And their relationship with her, is it like trusting and loyal, or are they afraid of her and she pays them?
Make an insight check.
21.
21. Yeah, you can read pure devotion when you see it. You think she's just a very capable leader. There's no fear here. They really respect her.
Okay.
I mean, they're also paid pretty well.
Yeah.
I think probably you would have heard one of the benefits of working on this ship in particular, sailing somewhere like this. You get paid well for it.
Okay, cool.
Bray at this point is going to walk over to Lucifer and put his elbow kind of like on Lucifer's shoulder as he kind of like leans down to him. I don't know how tall Lucifer is, but I'm going to assume you're shorter than me.
You're like 6'5", right?
I'm like, what did I say? 6'2", 6'3"? How tall are you?
Probably
Right.
slightly shorter, yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. That's how it should be, Jamie. For when you kill me later. So Bray walks over and he's got this scrunched up roll of paper in his hand, and you guys will recognize it as the summons that we've followed from General Varsala over to here, and he's gonna say, oh, we don't need no bloody money to get into the island. We've got this, and he'll kind of like show the letter that we have.
To me or to the captain, or both?
To both. Anyone who wants to look.
She raises her eyebrows and said, "That'll help for sure. I do not think you'll struggle to enter the city. I think I recommend paying regardless. It is not an entryway thing. It is a safety thing, is what I will say."
What, they're gonna try to jump us or something?
No, I do not think they will. If you stick to where they say you can go, you will be fine. You will have a great time. It is beautiful, beautiful city.
Well, I'm
Well,
not
it
scared of
was.
nobody, so it's gonna be fine.
That's the spirit, Bray. She like claps you on the back.
Like,
Thanks,
under
Captain.
Pyongyang.
So Bray, Lucifer kind of smiles and taps Bray on the shoulder, and then walks to like the bow of the ship and continues to perhaps nervously look out with teeth clenched.
Okay. And you now draw close by. And as you've been traveling through, shapes have began to kind of coalesce on the edge of your vision. You can sort of start to see, dancing on the edge, rising up before you, the sides of a flat-topped mountain, that from coast to summit, you know to be the great city of Varsala, the capital of the Dread Isles. And it only peeks out of the fog at first, as a blurred shape before you. But slowly the detail crystallizes as you draw ever closer. The city to your eyes must, you think, be built almost entirely in white stone, almost carved into the mountain itself. And it's maybe about, it should be sunset. And the mists, though silver, are kind of warmed by the sunset cresting the city in pale pink and orange as the light refracts through the fog. It almost creates these kind of soft rainbows on the white stone. And to you, the city sits in what looks like an iridescent sheen of soft, swirling, pearlescent colour. So when the captain told you the city is quite beautiful, it really is, actually. It's not dark. The fog, though dense, almost seems to clear as you draw closer. It's almost like you've passed through it and domed around the island. And the sky looks like sky. It's strange. It's almost like there's no trace of fog once you enter past this veil. Only you cannot see sun anywhere. You know where the sun should be coming from. You can tell there is light from that direction, but there is no brightening in the sky. There is no ball of light where it should be, where you expect to see the star or a logum. There's nothing. As for the city itself, as you kind of maybe sail your way through a kind of nest of sprawling docks, actually, let's make a history check. Does anyone feel particularly up for history checks, or should we just do a party-wide one?
I have a -1 to intelligence, so do not ask me about anything.
Do we have anyone who reads in this party?
We have what?
Yes.
Sorry.
Anyone who reads?
Yes.
Just for fun. Not
Me,
Me,
it's
as
good at
a
it.
player, cannot read, but my character can.
Alright.
Who's the
Alright,
smarty pants
Osiris,
in the party?
Mercy, let's,
Me too.
as the book people, Muddy as well.
It's possible. I mean, I don't know, but it's possible that Mercy may have been here? Question mark? Extreme question mark?
I mean,
Alright.
I rolled a history check.
Yeah, let's have it.
It was a 16.
16.
11.
11. Osiris?
I rolled a 16. Are you stealing my roll, Esky?
Actually, it'll be copying, not stealing. We both
Shape
have
shifters,
16. I
man.
take it off
Changelings
you.
steal
No,
other
you
players'
can't have
crap.
that 16. I took it from you.
No, but I don't see your roll,
Yeah, a different
dude.
one. I
don't-
rolled it. It's on roll 20. Yeah.
Alright.
Am I logged in? I'm just probably in the wrong campaign. I just probably logged into the wrong campaign. That's why it's for that.
Why are you...
Oh, that's a great nat 20, Esky. Great job. 10 out of 10.
I'll screenshot it if you want. It's right here.
What a shame. Let me put you guys on. There you go. Yeah, so with a 16, I think even 11 actually. It has been 100 years since Varsala was called this, but it was once called the Cradle of Divinity. And you kind of see why, actually. So it's almost built into a mountain, but this big feature in the center of the city almost looks like someone has taken like a spoon, run it through some ice cream, and scooped out a big hole in the middle of it. And this has been filled in by a dense network of white stone buildings, tightly packed. Like from where you are, maybe it could be like 4 to 5 stories high each. And you can almost see what looks like walkways and like branches kind of in between the buildings that make it look incredibly packed in there. Around the outside ridges of this bowl, which is kind of like rimmed by cliff, the kind of top plateau of the city, which reaches down at a more kind of friendly gradient either side, is larger buildings, poking out from which you can see, and as you draw closer you can make out the details on them, vast cathedrals. You can't quite make out the detail on them, but from what you can see at the start, the kind of the front end of the city looks to be very, very intricate white stonework, and like white, but also pale hues like turquoise, pinks, like really pale colors. That have been carved into these intricate formations. And the spires on these cathedrals tower above a city which actually is quite built up and quite tall. You can see where it gets the moniker of Cradle of Divinity. Let me see, what else would you know with 16? Maybe, do you know, with 16s, what you know about Varsala, and more specifically its fall, is quite limited, in fact. The world at large is a little confused as to what happened. At one point, the city was an up-and-coming, bustling trade port, one of the largest cities in Lakai, successful, benefiting very much from its position in the world map. A kind of calm space in a world that is quite ravaged by proximity to planes. This one being so close to the Lost Plane, in fact, has very few extraplanar influences on it, thus it is calm, peaceful, and quite an easy place to live. And so from your knowledge of history, it was pretty desirable and a good place to be. So it was therefore eminently confusing when one day, the former leader of Sacramar, Varsala, died, apparently. It's kind of unclear what actually went down, but almost overnight, access to the city was cut off. Like it was perhaps a site of pilgrimage, an aspirational place for up-and-coming clerics to visit the Grand Divine Order. No one could go there anymore. The island of Sacramar became encompassed by fog, and it rebranded itself from Sacramar to the Dread Isles. Allegedly under the control of the Dread Emperor, but nobody could tell you who he was. Allegedly he still rules it. Whether he's a creature, person, god, there are many stories. But seeing it before you like this? Strange, almost. It looks like what your history books told you it was like. And that, I think, is what you would get with a 16. And this is where I nervously look at Jamie's face occasionally as I dump more about the world, and I'm like, "Ooh, did I get that right?
Did I get it right? Did I just fuck it up?
And you can't tell me if I didn't get it right, because you have no power here, boy."
You have no power here.
Lucifer says out loud to no one. Looks calm. Nothing like stories.
Somebody just chimes up. Smells dead.
I don't understand why it's called the Dread Isles. There's nothing dreadful about it at all.
No, I can tell you why. Look, and he just points.
What? What are we looking at?
The buildings.
What?
They are white. Everybody knows in white buildings are unlucky. They reflect all the heat, but they make the city too bright when it is sunny. It's bad luck.
There is no sun.
Well, that's not my fault or my problem. That's their problem.
Even worse luck.
Yeah.
You can
Captain.
tell maybe there's no sun because their buildings are white and they are unlucky.
Well, I
Yeah,
suppose
Captain Barillo, maybe you could enlighten us. What do you know of the Dread Emperor?
What do I know about the Dread Emperor? Well, she laughs. Jack shit is what I know about him, huh?
Is she telling the truth?
I can insight check that.
Everybody knows about the Dread Emperor.
Household name, guys.
23.
Pop culture moment.
Like the
23.
rape of evil.
She pauses as though she's about to tell you something, then snaps her mouth shut before she says she knows jack shit. You think she probably does know things, but she's not saying it.
Hmm.
Here,
All right.
here, Captain Perello.
Yes, what can I do for you?
Can I have a word with you over here?
Bon.
And,
It's cool.
He'll try to sweeten her up by kind of giving her a little smile, and then like kind of having a little coin that comes out between his fingers, and he'll give it over to her. And let's just say that anything you say about the Dread Emperor stays between you and me.
Are you paying me off, buddy? Is that what this is? Is this
Well, it's just, you know, one sailor to another.
Well, consider me paid, first of all, and she'll put it in her pocket, pat it. Is that all I got, really, Bray? I tell
Don't be
you
fucking
about...
joking.
I
Nothing.
can't. No. There's nothing I can tell you about him.
Well, that's bloody useless, and he's gonna storm off.
You kind of hear a chuckle. And say, well, sorry. I'd ask a stupid question.
It's like, I suppose history checks are already covered if you know anything about the Dread Emperor, right?
You can make a specific one for it.
Will it have come up in any books about long lost powers or ancient magical objects?
Is that something that Lucifer has a specific knowledge in?
Lucifer would only be reading books about that. So if the answer to that is no, I won't bother.
I know you can roll it.
Okay. That's 16, so plus 2 is an 18.
Okay. You don't know
What a
anything
nerd.
about a Dread Emperor, per se. It's a slightly ridiculous and lofty title, in fact. And there is not one that matches it in history, really. And there's not really anything in the history of Sakramar's old Divine Order that would tell you who that is. Obviously, you know the previous ruler of the city was the Divine Praetor. He never really affixed dread to his name at any point. That would be a kind of strange rebranding for him. Though one of the stories on this guy is that, you know, they're the same person. Haven't had a bit of a personality 180. In terms, though, with an 18, I think you would know that Sakramar in general, and Varsala in particular, was a host, and this is something that maybe you might have shared with the party about the Divine Vault, hosted a containment site for a spectacular amount of some kind of power. Whatever it is, there's not much detail about what that is. It's known that the Divine Order built a lot of its success off of kind of ownership of it, that they collected divine objects, stored them in the vault, but that's not what that power was. It's not like they just had loads of items and that was like loftily referred to as the great power. It wasn't like that. They had something else. It's just you don't really know what that was. And it maybe makes sense to you that if there was some young upstart Dark Lord wannabe that wanted some power, they probably would have come here. So maybe it kind of makes sense to you somewhat that this could just be somebody that saw an opportunity and took it.
Feeling a vague kinship.
Yeah, maybe you respect the hustle.
Yeah.
Maybe you get it, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
No, all good.
Can I make a specific history check? Because, like, I'm assuming that the destinies of all the inhabitants of Varsala, like, changed overnight. Is the Dread Emperor one of the aberrants that my order might have been seeking and failed to kill in time?
I would say that this fate for the city is entirely fated, in fact.
Okay.
I would say that for you guys, this city was always meant to fall.
Okay.
You don't have much more detail on how it happened, what it happened. You all right there, Jamie?
No, it's just big campaign info. Next time.
No, I think for you would this. It's a great momentous thing that happened in world history, but it's sort of like almost like a natural disaster you knew was coming, right? Like,
Yeah. Okay.
the precise happenstance of it, the mannerism, the driving factors perhaps could have changed, but the outcome, all those people in the city, those, what happened to their fates is all congruent with the great timeline your order protects.
In that case, then I probably do not care about it at all. This was always meant to happen, and it's part of the great plan and part of Savras's will. So, yeah, I'm probably just interested in the vault.
Yeah. Because in fact, I think framing it for you in terms of the great plan and weird fates, there is definitely something wrong here. And it is whatever is in that vault. I think your order would have told you as much as that there is something that shouldn't be there in the city that is, and it's in there.
Yeah, I'd probably share that in as kind of understandable terms as I can make that, and say that something like, probably in phrases like, you see, there's something within the vault that is changing the destinies of those that it shouldn't. It's disrupting the weave, the tapestry, and it must be stopped.
Stopped or controlled, surely.
No. Eradicated. It is not part of the plan. It's not part of the God's Weave.
I suppose that's why we're here.
Just a tiny question. Which god are you referring to?
The God's Weave belongs to all the gods.
So...
The way they shape the destinies of all creatures and mortal beings.
So you know every single god's plan?
No. No mortal or even instrument could know the god's plans. I am afforded glimpses, and those in tune with the God's Weave are also afforded glimpses occasionally into the destinies of those around them, particularly those with destinies of great significance, like the five of you.
So what you're saying is you don't know the god's plans?
I know part of them, a small fragment of a great mosaic, or a single thread of a great tapestry.
Ozrus's eyes are just like squinting at Mercy. He really doesn't get what he's trying to say, but he is nodding like he sort of gets it, and it's pretty obvious that he really just doesn't.
There's something wrong in the vault. And we're clearly here to deal with it.
I
I
say,
suppose it's time we'll get more info from General Montague, was it? In that letter, Bray?
yeah, that's his name. I think. Hold on, and he's gonna look at the letter again and be like, wait. I think it says, Montague. Montague. Is that right? Not right. He's gonna.
You got
Close,
it
it's close,
perfect.
Bray.
You got it perfect. I couldn't have said it better myself, really. I
Cool.
couldn't have.
Well, we gotta go see General Montague and show him the letter, and then get into the vault, kick some butt, and then get our money and leave very quickly.
Exactly, that's all it is, Sabras. No great fate, just another problem to solve. Together.
Together.
Easy. Let's do it. No direction. Let's go.
I don't know if we refer to ourselves as no direction.
Remember, with no direction, you'll always find your purpose.
Nice.
Lodi just kind of like squints a bit.
something fate always has you on the road you don't intend to travel or something.
How can you be on the road to hell that's paved with poor intentions if you have no intention?
True. Party, could I have a perception check, please?
Ugh, I keep losing my dice.
Let's roll a dice.
I just dropped a cookie. Fuck.
Ah, I knew I
I'm
gave
gonna eat
myself.
it anyway.
That's
Yeah.
good for once. I came out of a
Ah.
22.
These dice rolls, let's go.
There it is.
What do we got?
2-2.
I
Did
rolled
you?
a 13.
No team.
23.
23.
13. I'm just the same.
My
rolls
rollers in this chat.
Sorry, the whole time.
Okay, with them
Just feeling your
22s,
rolls.
23s. There is no sun. Occasionally, you're really sure you see a crack of a sunbeam whiz across the city and hit it. It looks a bit out of place.
Like a laser.
It kind of just, you know, when clouds open up and you got a ray of sun going bzzz down on the
Yeah,
earth and it looks all pretty and picturesque? It's like that, but it's like a flash. It's kind of momentary, and it doesn't look like it belongs here. Like this
With a-
place looks lit in a
with
way
a-
that doesn't pretend that.
With the 23, can I trace its point and point it to the area of the city it hits?
Go on then.
Captain, would that
Wow.
be the approximate location of our vault?
she laughs and says, I have no idea where the vault is, to be perfectly honest. I didn't even know there was one, but no, I think that she looks at the district. That's kind of near, I think, the Red Plaza. Ish? Sort of.
The Red Plaza.
The Red Plaza, yes.
Anything we should know about that location?
Not that I can tell you, no.
Can or will?
It can. It's a can.
Unfortunate, I'm very generous to those who helped me. And I kind of flash gold in front of her.
I have sailed you the whole way to Varsala. I
Oh,
have
you can
had
pay
you on
for
my
that,
ship
but
for
anything
10
else?
days. Make a persuasion check.
While that's rolling, DM, do we have an idea of how much we paid collectively for this voyage?
It was a lot. It was a lot of money.
14 plus 2 is 16.
16. It was most of your sea dragon slaying funds that saw your friend die, to be honest. This was expensive.
It was his share. It's fine.
What was the roll, sorry?
14 plus 2 is 16.
16. She pauses, she looks at you, and she says, I'm not saying no because I want to, alright? I like you,
And
but I can't help.
I
We
understand, I
really
kick her a
like
gold
you
anyway.
too.
I really like you as well. It's mutual, huh?
No, I like you more.
I think that actually might be true, yeah.
Yeah, I flick her a gold and leave. Not helpful.
Captain, before you depart, I have a question.
Yes, Arim.
The magic, can it happen here?
The magic? What, like magic in general, or?
Yeah, you do know the magic. Can it, he's just rubbing his nose. Can you do it here? Some places, they don't like it.
Oh, right. Yeah, no problem. Magic away, my friend.
Okay.
And she'll turn her back to you and make preparations for docking. So
Is she leaving?
Well, I mean, she's still on the deck, but she'll kind of turn her attentions towards the crew probably at this point.
Okay, just before we leave, Mercy speaks up and says, "Wait, just one more question. If you were in our position, what question would you ask?"
That's a good one, huh? I'd probably ask who is going to bring you home. Because you paid one way for this, so... And good luck with that one.
He just nods.
Would we call you Mercy, or would you have names under different guises? Sorry.
He would currently would respond to anything you guys would like. If you wanted to give him a name in the persona he's wearing now, he would respond to that. You know that they have other personas as well, but they would probably, their first interaction with you would be something along the lines of, what even is a name? A colloquial title for mortals.
Mercy, I trust your judgment. This disruption in your God's weave, can you tell if it's a pebble or a boulder? Any sense of what we're walking into?
Clood?
Is somebody in the wrong place at the wrong time, or are we about to fight a monster-ending, like a world-ending threat?
No, it doesn't feel like a world-ending threat. Feels like lives are at stake, though. More than yours.
Poor scholar that I am, I can only see knots which are of some significance. The more learned of my order would be able to detect small ripples, but generally, I'm sent to cull the aberrant or the knots which are obvious. So yes, this is an event which potentially affects the fates of many, the lives of many, the futures of many.
With that, you see Lucifer kind of stops summoning and unsummoning his sword and sheaths it. Good to know. Thank you.
Okay. So, with that, you sail through.
Sorry, Dim. There was one
Oh.
last.
Go
one
on
last
then.
one of these. Is that
Go
question
on
mark?
then.
My nose, it kind of is. Captain, I don't ask questions like this. They're good questions. But I have a question from the another side. Here, what questions should we not?
Never ask them what happens in the place you are told you cannot go.
I want to ask.
Well, then ask it, but I told you not to. What do you want from me?
He walks away. We'll be back. But richer.
Shakes her head.
You stay a while.
Well, in that case, I will take you home. Become a creature. What did it say on that letter of yours? How much money is it? It's a lot.
That does not matter. All I'm
10,000
telling
gold! You hear Bray shouting from the other side of the boat, clearly eavesdropping.
Arim
Alright, I'll
seems
take
like
that.
offended,
Aye,
like
aye, Captain.
like as if the mention of a number of money out loud amongst a public space is like some kind of absolute no, some cultural, like, you cannot talk about sums of money in the open.
Right. Yeah, she just kind of shakes her head. It's affectionate. It's not condescending, but yeah, busies herself with ropes and things.
And as Arim walks away, you stay a while, we come back richer. You see.
I'll be here. I have a few days to do my business.
Mercy goes over to Bray and just quietly says, among Arim's people, mention of numbers of coins or amounts of money is considered rude or distasteful. Like saying how big a man's genitals are, or how large a woman's.
That's quite enough, thank you, Mercy.
But what do you talk about at the pub then? I don't understand. Talk about
It's
how
people's
much you
brain.
get paid, how big your wang is. Why did I say wang?
No. Among Arim's people, it is just not done.
Well, where I'm from, not much else to talk about.
Haggling is a fine art in his society, almost like a dance.
So canonically, where Bray is from, or you talk about penises and shit?
Right, sorry, just editing the world. Penis
Yep.
land.
Talk about money,
Falacia.
penises, and big old titties.
Polite company, nice dinner,
From the town
genitals.
from the town of
Tiggle
Tiggle.
biddies.
Dongville.
So where Bray's from, they have this game where they all sit around a table and they roll these like 20-sided dice to decide how long your dick is in that evening.
Sounds like a terrible game. What kind
Barbaric
of reasonable
game.
would have a 20-sided dice?
Just
Like,
speaking of that, could you all roll a con check, please?
A con
a
check.
watch one? Con.
A con, yeah. Just let me know what it
No
is.
reason.
For no
Oh,
particular
you're
reason.
long, man. I would have invested
Why?
more.
I
I
have
don't know.
-2 to con.
this-
Why
is
are we
this-
rolling
Is this, a
this?
save, is this a saving throw or just a check?
Just straight check. You can add your modifier.
Okay.
Depends what you roll. It could be a saving throw, bro.
I rolled a nat one.
Oh,
Right.
Oh no, he's
Um,
a eunuch.
For the benefit of folk on stream, we
cloth.
have a natural one rolled.
Man of the cloth.
A 2.
You roll 2.
A 2 for us. And
I rolled an 11.
that's perfectly fine.
Above average.
It's not a problem.
it's not the modifier. It's how you use it.
I rolled a 15, so 17.
Of
Oh, show
course
off.
you did, Jamie. Fuck
Oh,
off.
Fucking show off.
All
Of
your
course, the
rolls.
swordsman.
Might have to
Anyway,
drop a
that
lucky
was
point.
a completely arbitrary con check.
Had nothing to do with anything.
You'll get in a rowboat. The anchor is dropped, and you are bundled into a rowboat bound for shore. You row your way through a webbing of very busy, actually, piers, docks. Really surprisingly busy. For a place that's supposedly somewhere people don't go, there are a lot of outbound trading vessels moored here. Could I have perception checks from the whole party, please? And your feet, for the first time in 10 days, hit not quite dry land. It's still a wooden pier, but it's close enough. It's more to the
Natural
earth.
1.
Ah, non-nat 20.
Natural one.
The important roll, actually. The
Oh,
important
it's
roll.
really difficult to see in this mist.
15.
21 Savage.
With your one, Lucifer, you're actually kind of struggling getting off the rowboat. It's a bit wobbly. You're like maybe stumbling a bit. Your eyes are fixed downwards on the barnacles on the pier.
A little lopsided.
little lopsided.
Weighed down by something.
Oh my god. The rest of you, however, are keenly alert to the place you have just sailed to. You are all looking out for anything you can see. Plenty of movement on the docks. You see people who to your eyes, look like they could be your average trader from the larger cities of the world. A few of them seem to be vomiting, for starters, or seem to be struggling slightly. And as you set foot on the docks, most of you, apart from Lucifer, see what seems to be green, I want to say refractions almost in the mist, as light passes through it and seems to make these kind of green, quite geometric patterns that form about your persons very briefly. It looks like a trick of the light, but you will definitely perceive it. And as this hits, you are all gripped by a certain feeling of something. Could you all make con saves for me, please?
Oh, no.
And this is for something a little more spicy.
Oh,
than
no,
a
great. I'll
previous
roll
con
a
roll.
fucking 6 for this one.
Oh, 24. Let's go.
22, let's
Natural
go.
Uno.
Oh,
Not
no.
seeing it makes me immune to it.
Okay, so we have a pass for Bray, for Lucifer.
I rolled a 19, surprisingly.
Pass. So we have a fail for Ahim, Muti,
Yeah.
and Mercy. What did you roll?
3.
A 3. Okay, could you each roll a d8 for me, please?
What's going on, boy? Another 1 from your boy.
Okay.
I got a 4.
Okay.
8.
A 1, a 4, and an 8. You're all gripped by this feeling of just... It feels like the end, almost. But you don't really care. It's kind of hard to describe. There is something about the way this place makes you feel. I suppose it is dread. It sets into your bones. On a 1, you, my friend, have disadvantage on all dex saving throws. Until...
I've got like a different idea.
I'm sure you do, but unfortunately, this is just how this place works. I don't make the rules. I do make the rules, actually.
You
So
do
you have
make
to
the
follow
rules.
them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, what's that? My connection's getting really bad, guys. I might drop out.
I see. A 4.
Oh my god.
You-
For how long? Like, what's going on, man? Come on, what's going
Dunno.
on?
I'll tell you.
Alright, yeah, we don't know. Let's go on.
You don't know.
Hurry
You
up.
don't know.
Come on.
You
Don't
just
delay.
feel shit, right? It's the Dread Isles, guys. Did you think this was a
Right.
picnic? This is alright. With your 4, you have disadvantage on wisdom and intelligence saving throws.
Oof.
So have fun with that one.
Oh, that's what?
And your 8, you feel a little like your limbs aren't really listening to you so good anymore. A little clumsier. When you roll a nat 1 on a d20 ever, you just fall prone. You just hit the ground. And you'll be prone. So, gang. Whatever this effect is, it seems to be connected to this green light that diffuses through the mist and sinks into your bones. You don't know what it is. And as for the rest of you, you see it happen, but you don't feel anything happen to you. Maybe you see your friend's shoulders slump slightly. But you don't see it happen to anyone else, in fact. Though for those of you that rolled above 20, I think what you do see is for the sailors, the visitors vomiting on the docks, they seem to have had a similar effect happen to them.
There's something strange about this place.
Are you all alright?
Hard.
So you kind of...
I thought
I can't focus on anything.
If Arim's like shoulders, I don't know, if he looks like kind of slumped, he looks a bit down after that effect happens. He's gonna go over to him and just like sort of pat his arm and be like, look, I know you're stressed about like not having enough to eat, but like I've got just the thing for you. It's actually perfect. It's perfect. And even though they're walking off this rowboat and totally like in the middle of something, he just like starts channeling, and this ball of bright light. I mean, it should be golden, it should be pleasant and warm, but it's actually really difficult to look at. Like, it kind of burns your eyes, it's so yellow. And after it disappears, in his hands are just this overflowing mound of just bright yellow popcorn. And he's just sort of like pushing it towards Ariam, going, look, Ahim, we've got loads of food. You really don't have to stress about it. And as he's gesturing, the popcorn is just like flying everywhere and just like hitting people in the head. And like, it's just like bits of it are just like flying onto Lucifer's, like, I'm sure, very carefully combed hair, and just staying in there. Just, you really don't have to worry about it. I know it's okay if you're not a fan of clams, but we've got everything we need here. And he says, like, very proudly, I can do this as many times as you need, whenever you want, and you will be fed.
And Arim is just completely overwhelmed by this. He's like almost pushing away, like, well, and he's startled as well. One thing that rarely this man is startled, but he's startled by the affair. You came up beside him. He was looking the other way. You touched him on the shoulder, and he didn't seem to have his elasticity about him. Almost fell off. We're still on the boat, right? Almost fell off the boat, getting off, and was simply like kind of looking at you, just like completely confused, almost half on the floor, just looking up at you, just like, what's going on?
Just don't worry about it. And he sort of like tries to help him up, but as you like, if you do grab his hand, you'll see that there's absolutely no force in it whatsoever. It's like someone is offering a hand and not trying to pull you up. Like, he clearly has no strength whatsoever, despite being a paladin. And if you do take his hand, do you, Orim?
Yeah, he sort of reluctantly, sort of half dead handshake.
You just get a handful of popcorn, another face full of popcorn, and when he realizes that he can't pull you up, he sort of just smiles at you and just leaves and walks over to Bray.
Arim's just like, he's probably his garments sort of wrapped over him, and he's sort of fighting them off, and he just picks up a piece of, falling off of him. This glowing, is it glowing popcorn?
It's not glowing, it's just very yellow.
Very yellow popcorn, just takes it off, looks at it, and sort of looks to the rest of the party and just sort of points like, the fuck was that? He doesn't say anything, but just, what? Yeah.
So, like, without even taking a breath, like, in the same sentence as this interaction with Arim, Ozras goes to, Bray, and he's sort of like, he pats his arm, and he motions to him. Obviously, Bray probably has to bend down quite a bit to talk to Ozras. Yeah. And he starts to whisper, and he goes, here's the thing, Montague is good, but I know actually a bit of a tip for you. If you say Montague, they'll really think that you're a native here. It's all about the extension of the ew.
Montague.
Yeah. It's
right.
Your first attempt was really good, but I just thought I'd give you a bit of a tip.
Oh. Thanks, Pipsqueak.
Right.
And he's gonna pat you on the head as he stands back up to his full height.
Hearing that, Lucifer would whisper to us, thank you.
Oi, Modhi! And he's gonna call over to Modhi. You alright over there? You're looking a little bit pale. Paler than usual.
I was about to say, is that some sort of a joke I'm supposed to get?
The tall ones always struggle with their sea legs. That's why this one's got, no problems. And he points down to Ozras.
As he says that, Ozras trips over on literally nothing.
I have no problem on the boat at all.
Bray reaches down and
This
grabs.
place makes me feel something's wrong with it.
You'll be alright, don't you worry. And he's gonna reach down and grab Ozras at the scruff of his neck by the back of his outfit and pull him up back, so he's like upright again.
When you
Sorry,
called him Pipsqueak, and when you pulled him up, you see the smile on his face leave for a split second,
Oh no!
but it's not too noticeable because he immediately has it back on his face afterwards. What was the question? Sorry, Luke.
I was going to ask, how, on a scale of 1 to 10, how out of character is this?
For Ozras?
Mhm.
Which part?
The manicness, the popcorn, the forcing upon, the soft hand, walk away, the...
Oh, I mean, it's totally in character to everything that you've seen before. I mean, he introduced himself to everyone in the group when you met without really taking a single breath. He was extremely keen on shaking everyone's hands very enthusiastically. And you generally got a really desperate, a sense of desperation and a need to please from Ozras. So, very in character.
As you flail and throw popcorn about and generally are unsure what's going on in this place, you are approached by a figure. You hear actually you don't hear the footsteps coming down the dock, strangely. This person is tall, beanpole-like almost, in prim white robes. Appears to be a human with a very, very straight, flat-falling kind of set of white hair that falls somewhere down their back. You can't see how long. He has large, almost overly large, pale green eyes. And he wears a broad smile on his face as he addresses you all with outstretched arms and unblinking eyes. He looks well dressed. His robes are neatly collared. They fall very flat over his chest, not a single rumple or wrinkle in sight. The cuffs, the yoke, it's all joined by rows and rows of gleaming pearl and kind of glittering silver chain. He almost moves slightly waif-like. And his eyes wide almost follow every move that you make as he approaches, kind of darting back and forth. As he speaks to you, his voice is actually quite vague as he says, "Welcome to Varsala. I hope your travel has been uneventful. I am Ilavesh Ilarian, Master of Trade and Immigration. Captain Perillo, your face is known to me, but not those of your accompaniments. May I ask your business?" And his eyes kind of fall upon all of you one by one, and his smile does not falter.
Right, we've got this right here, and he's gonna come forward and thrust the letter into his face and show off the summons that they have.
Gosh, signed by the General himself. How exciting it is to have others answer our call in our time of need. And he bows ever so slightly, and as he bows, his eyes do not leave yours at all. They are not facing downwards as he makes that bow. "Please allow me to see you farther into the city, and let it be known that I am obliged to make it plain to all travelers to Varsala that we only allow access to our city under careful watch." And he kind of smiles and kind of expects you all to nod.
I nod and bow ever so slightly at his invitation.
"Before we enter the city, please allow me to stipulate that access to Varsala for non-nationals is limited to the seafront promenade and the upper city only as far as Respite's Plaza. Any non-national discovered above this will be liable for their own safety and will be removed on discovery. It is strictly forbidden for said non-nationals to be discovered unaccompanied above Respite's Plaza. And he kind of like nods, lets it settle in.
Thanks, Rishi.
Too soon.
I'm getting serious Ryanair energy right here.
He's not blinked at all as he said this. And he pauses. Do you have any questions for me?
Lucifer, eyes slightly watering because he is also now attempting not to blink for this entire interaction as weird competition.
I'm trying, but I can't do it. I'm sorry.
Of course, and these areas we shouldn't go to. You'll guide us to House Montague, is it?
Yes.
Wait. Sorry, no, it's Montague.
It isn't.
I've been told no. I've been told that that's how it's pronounced. It's a Montague.
As Bray is saying that, Ozras is just standing there behind her going,
Bray.
Look, Lucifer, I've been told, right? Okay, I've been told that the locals say General Montague. So.
But Bray, your people, all they eat is potatoes and roast beef.
Yeah,
How can you say you know these things?
Yeah, what's wrong with that? It tastes great.
We were informed of a tithe.
No.
Ah.
We don't need a tithe because we got this letter from.
Hey, we should pay our
Oh,
respects.
you need to pay the tithe. Yes,
What?
I am glad you
Why?
have come armed with knowledge. Allow me to answer questions one by one, and I shall do my best to accommodate you in your stay. First of all, the matter of your accompaniment to House Montague. And he pauses after he says House Montague and looks specifically at Bray, and then continues.
Bray looks at this guy and then looks to Ozras and just shakes his head like, check this idiot. This guy doesn't know.
I shall facilitate your transport and see that it is safe, and that you are watched by an adequate member of our city guard. Unfortunately for you, House Montague is above Respite's Plaza, and therefore there will be strict restrictions upon your visit. Is that clear to all of you?
No, it's not clear.
How can I elucidate this further for you?
Well, you say restriction, this word, but what do you mean by what is restricted?
I am telling you not to go there, so you should not. You must not, in fact.
We thank you for your observations and will abide by your restrictions as specified.
Thank you.
You are most generous in allowing us access to Varsala.
I am glad somebody understands what it is we are doing here.
Please, tell us the details of the tithe that you would exact upon us.
See you to the place of payment. I shall leave the details for then, otherwise it may sound vague and difficult for you all to conceptualize while we stand here.
Arim turns to Mercy, and it's as if you're on the floor on 1 HP, and Arim was looking down upon you one side, and Arim just leaves you for dead and looks away. That's the look you get for bringing up what is it we have to pay.
Mercy doesn't even give you a second glance.
However, before we proceed to the site of payment, I must ask that you sign a contract of magical silence. And he kind of, his hands draw apart in the air, and sheets of paper materialize and kind of flip into existence. And he hands one out to you each. And the terms and conditions, to your eyes, seem to state that you shall not discuss Varsala beyond the Respite's Plaza from once you have left the shore. It seems to be binding. You must understand that when we ask you, and he starts kind of pacing up and down actually as he kind of narrates this, You must understand that we ask for this both to protect ourselves, but also to protect you. It is a delicate ecosystem that we have cultivated here, and it is difficult for outsiders to integrate here, as I fear that some of you may be feeling already. And his eyes do not miss a beat as he looks to each of you that seems to have suffered slightly upon making land. Now please, will you sign the contract of magical silence?
Do we know how these kind of contracts usually work? Is this something that we would maybe have seen before? Like, is this the kind of like I can do a fake signature and it's not gonna hit me too hard, or like, is this some deep shit? Like, this some serious magical binding?
Make an Arcana check, but I'm gonna give you advantage because I know what you're about.
What do you mean? Arcana. Okay. It's a 16.
Okay, with a 16? Yeah, they are magically binding if you sign it with your own name.
And if you sign it not your own name?
Probably fine. You suspect he'll probably check, ask you perhaps, watch you do it. There are people that can, well, you can tell when somebody's just randomly made up a signature. It's maybe a bit of a skill thing, but you think you have the knack.
Okay, thank you.
Do you all sign your contracts of magical silence?
Is it too much to ask if furbolgs don't technically have names? How would that work?
Are you asking him, or is this you asking the DM?
I mean,
You're asking the
he kind
DM.
of says it. Yeah, asking the DM. Not really. Actually, no. That's not knowledge I should be privy to. Don't worry about it.
All right.
Oh.
Yeah, you kind of don't know, to be honest. Like, there's no real reason that you'd know how magical contracts work. So I think for you, you're maybe just standing there wondering, like, I don't know.
He just turns to the guy and goes, "Should I sign it with my human name?"
Whatever is your most recognizable identifier. It is, after all, magical, so signed by your hand and in a way that you will be recognized by, the contract will be binding.
Mercy will shape change into his elven persona, Amarathia, this high elf, blonde-haired, high cheekboned female, and she signs it in the name of Amarathia.
I will sign it. Just for Elrod.
Bray picks up the pen and starts to spell his name. And spells it B-R-E. And then he stops as he realizes he spelled his name wrong. And then he looks at the person and says, "Wait a second. Are you an hag?"
A hag?
Yeah. Just
Bray,
checking.
that's
An
Bray,
egg.
that's Bray, that's quite rude.
No, but you gotta tell me if you are. That's Fae rules.
Be rest assured, there are no hags present on the Dread Isles. We have made sure of that.
Oh, this place is great. And he finishes signing and he puts an A at the end and now it says Bria.
I think he watches your hand very discerningly. I think the insightful among you watch this guy, watch Bray, and think, oh, his eyes don't miss much. And he smiles and nods. A true representation of yourself.
Yeah?
For those of you actively trying to sign a fake name, could we have... Osiris, you're good on this. Could we have a sleight of hand check? Or performance, whichever you're more confident in.
Bray
You
was-
can't spell.
Bray wasn't trying to sign a fake name. He just
No,
spelled
you
his
can't
name
spell, so that is a true representation of Bray and Bray's identification. So we will rule that one as fine.
Okay, great.
Are you a carp? You got to tell me if you're a carp.
Alright, so performance or sleight of hand?
Do you want me to roll?
Changeling character. I've got to deal with this.
How does one deal with a changeling character
I don't
in this
have a
scenario?
name. Like
I
this,
think-
this
I think
character doesn't.
He looks to you to you doing this and says, "Ah, complicated. I see. A name is challenging, so instead, I will ask for a lock of hair."
No, don't do it. She's an ag. She's an ag. Wait,
Hey, please, we are guests in this
Right.
place.
It's quite
no,
alright.
No, only ags
I don't
ask for
mind.
air. I'm telling you.
Osiris just like starts like sort of like rubbing his arm like in a comforting way, like I know, just it's okay.
Oz, I'm really upset by this.
Yeah. Amarathia will probably very thematically. They do keep a pair of iron shears, a pair of kind of medieval scissors on their person. They take it from their bag, and they take a piece of long blonde hair and they cut it. And I don't know whether it retains its color or not, but she hands it to.
As it's given to Ilavesh, the hair shrinks in length, loses its color, and rather than hair, what is left in between his fingers is kind of flickering, a slight kind of brightness. Closes his fingers and it disappears. That will suffice. Thank you for your candid offering.
Quite all right.
Irene steps forward and goes, "You're scared to sign. It's just a contract." And is there like a pen or ink or anything like that, or?
Yeah, I'll say there's a floating quill that hovers above the page of each of your contracts.
And he takes the quill, colors in the tip of his finger, and he writes in Armenian. He writes the word Potter, as he simply would if he was fulfilling a delivery contract, rather than writing anything specific as his own name. It's a very generic kind of, you're coming into an imperial palace. Who are you? What's your business? How many units are you delivering? Potter.
Nice. I like it. Alright, make that roll with advantage. That's cool.
Or sleight of hand, yeah?
Yeah. Or performance, whichever one you like more.
Well, I got some good sleight of hand, so let's do that. That's a 22.
Nice. Yep, doesn't blink, watches you do it. Moves on to the next.
Irene has a little smile, sucks the rest of the ink off, spits on the floor, and walks off.
What a cool guy. Damn. Lucifer, did you say you were signing something funny on there?
No, Lucifer just signs his name. Lucifer Elrod.
Lucifer Elrod. Do you know Elrod is a Rings of Power meme? What did you settle on? Yeah, okay. Cool. He collects them all back and says,
Osiris goes up and signs, and it's like he writes it so big that it's pretty hard not to see it, and in like huge, very slow motions he writes Osiris Sun Song. But given how much time he's actually spent into clearly trying to make it look nice, it looks like shit. It probably looks like a 14-year-old's handwriting.
God, can relate to that so hard.
I love this character, what the hell? Y'all have done such a good job. Okay, he collects the contracts back. Nods, satisfied. Wonderful. I cannot wait for you to meet General Montague. Allow me to lead you into the city. Captain Perillo, you know what to do. And as he leads you off along the seafront of Varsala, we will take a break because it's 9:04. I don't know when we take a break anymore, y'all. I'm just a guest DM, but it's 9:04 is when we do this now. So if we all come back at 1:15, do we want 10 minutes? Is that fine?
Sounds good.
Yep.
Fab. Cool. See you all in 10 minutes.
Short round of applause for
Yay, go
our
Clood.
temporary DM.
Very
Bam.
Oh, yeah.
That's a very unsettling.
Bravo.
So I appreciate it.
Bravo.
See you
baby.
soon. Alright, guys. So, the party has been summoned to the lofty and scary Dread Isles to fulfill a call they found posted on a notice board half a world away from the General of Varsala, the capital of the Dread Isles. He has asked you, party, to recover something from the Divine Vault in the city, which is something of a legendary place in your history books that has seemingly not been accessed for the last century of this place being the Dread Isles. You have sailed through immensely dense mist on the Shoal Heart, captained by Marga Perillo, who, while friendly with you and seemingly au fait with things that were going on, didn't seem able or happy to tell you very much about her past experiences in Varsala. Although I suppose now you've been hit with contracts of magical silence after landing, it probably makes sense to you why she's not able to be more forthcoming about her experiences there. You were greeted on the docks by Ilavesh Ilarian, Master of Trade and Immigration in Varsala. This character has not blinked the entire time that you have been interacting with him, which has been a while. He's been having you sign contracts and stuff. And he has said that he will lead you through the city and arrange transport up to House Montague so you may go find the General and see about your quest. I believe that is where we left off, with you being led by Ilavesh Ilarian, who Jen in chat has called an Alexa strapped to a Roomba, which is so accurate I can't even, and also really cracked me up. He walks with legs. He's not rolling on little wheels as he leads you through the seafront. But as he walks, he starts to narrate to you the layout of the city. He points out buildings. He shows you popular bistros. He has something to say about each of the piers. This one, for example, is where the majority of our foodstuffs arrive and leave. Here we will import a significant amount of grain, and indeed as you walk past there are like many boxes stacked high, and this is the one that you are docked at with Captain Perillo. And walking down the seafront, a lot of these buildings are in really good nick. They're painted in quite pale colours, light pastels. There's nothing like actually very boldly coloured in the city. It's almost like it's got this filter of like anything saturated dimmed down. So Osiris, your yellow popcorn was like intense amount of colour for this place.
I mean, given that Osiris is more yellow than his yellow popcorn, I'd say probably the popcorn isn't the thing that stands out here.
Then Osiris, your mere presence is this bright ray of shocking amount of colour in what is really a very soft and pretty kind of palette. There is a lot of colour here, it's just all very muted and swimming about through mist that is there, but not quite. It's a little strange. It sort of like fades in and out around you. As you walk past the docks down the seafront, those of you that spotted that ray of light that whizzed across the city earlier, you see it again once or twice as you walk, knowing what to look out for. Or rather than rays of light, it hits different parts of the city, surprising you slightly, Lucifer. And sometimes it's actually just a break in... It almost looks like a break in clouds, but you see no clouds because the mist seems to not be there. It's just sky. It's a strange kind of look, which Ilavesh just seems to not comment on whatsoever as he leads you down the seafront.
Are there any people?
Yes. People-wise, down here, it looks quite a lot like you'd expect most trading ports to look like, in fact. It's pretty busy. There are lots of dock workers, lots of sailors that seem to be carrying boxes to and from, loading them on smaller boats. There are warehouses down a kind of portion of the seafront. Could you make a perception check for me, please?
$12.
12? Okay. So you think there are guards here. There are guards. They wear, for the most part, half plate. And wide-brimmed hats, in fact, shading them from light or sun that isn't there. It's strange to see people wearing hats here, in fact. Were the 12? You can't see too much more than that, but I think maybe what you do note is a set of very large barges, like river barges, which seems strange to you because the side of the coast is almost exclusively on one side mountain and cliffs to the north, and then to the south, I mean, the city it's the side of a mountain. It does flatten out slightly, but this doesn't give you nearby river at all. You're not quite sure what the river barges are about. But he leads you past seafront buildings, cafes, bistros, white stone buildings, recently painted looking wooden storefront boards. These streets generally are pretty busy with the sounds of conversation, smells of freshly brewed coffee, pastries even. The doors, the windows here are adorned with pretty intricate ironwork as well as really beautifully carved stone. And most windows are shuttered rather than any kind of curtain or barred thing. In fact, it's wooden shutters in faded pastels. You kind of see it's like a hub of activity, like any other port would be. What you see in terms of outbound shipments, however, it's much less than what is being imported. All of these boxes are neatly stamped with the emblem of what you know to be the Dread Isles. It's a skull, in fact, pretty on the nose, with like little kind of bubbles around it. Which, actually, now that you think about it, looking at the amount of pearl that the guards maybe wear, that Ilavesh wears, probably is actually just their national stone. But they seem to be exporting a lot less than they're importing, is the vibe that you're getting. As you walk, Ilavesh narrates to you. He says, "So, the city of Varsala is much as it always has been, a center of trade and wealth for these islands. The center of the city," and he gestures up to that kind of ice cream scoop sort of looking section of the city, "we call the valley. This is where the majority of the nationals live. However, I would recommend that you do not partake in strolls through the valley. You will immediately find yourselves lost and unable to find your way out. It is highly unlikely that you emerge from this place. Please do not go there." And any of the streets that you walk past that head up into this space are really narrow. They're really also quite steep. Like the city is like from coastline to summit of the side of the mountain, really, really steep. And it seems like if you're walking up anywhere, there's a lot of stairs that you're gonna have to climb. He kind of keeps leading you down the seafront till eventually you reach, it's maybe like 20-25 minutes. It's actually quite a long straight walk till you reach the northern edge of the city, where to kind of the coast starts to curve around into a little beach. The stone buildings are larger, more kind of commercial, perhaps, and you see the beginnings of, for what, for Varsalan standards, seems to be a very wide road indeed. And he motions to it and says, "We will now begin the ascent. The ascent is the single road that connects Varsala from coast to summit, ending in front of the great cathedral Varkara." And he, maybe for those of you thinking about the history of the city that rolled it earlier, you'll remember Varkara as being the big cathedral, the big church, the heart of the divine order. Maybe it's surprising to you that it still stands, in fact. And he begins to take you up this road, cobbled white road. There's very little greenery in the city, actually. It's just stone upon stone. There's no dirt road, it's all paved. And he continues, "The ascent joins together the 8 plazas of Varsala sequentially. You will pass through all of them if you continue up the ascent. First, we will reach Debtor's Plaza, where we will ask for the tithe. Second is Respite's Plaza. Beyond this, I am not at liberty to say. There are, however, 6 more until you reach Varkara." And he just kind of gives you little history factoids. Maybe as you walk past a particularly large storefront, emblazoned with the word Triumphs, he'll pause and say, "This is Triumphs, stonework from the hands that made Varsala. If you are interested in stonework to furnish your homes in the rest of the world, I must recommend that you give them a visit and purchase some of their works. Truly, it is spectacular." And it's kind of like a showroom, but he just kind of just does this for every store on the way up. And you maybe walk for an hour before you reach the main plaza. While you're walking, is there anything you guys want to look at or ask?
I had a question.
Are there any?
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to ask. Are there any homeless people? Any vagrants?
Great question.
The people who are not the the epitome of cleanliness and high society. Are the streets at all dirty? Are there?
Are we
fights?
in those towns and cities in North Korea where they're showing you the best side
Absolutely.
and all that shit's been
This is
hidden away?
definitely undead Pyongyang, and there is.
Is that the vibe you're going for, Ben? Sorry if I interrupted. It's yeah.
I didn't want to I didn't want to make it kind of fascist, but yeah.
Kind of fascist.
Hey guys, I don't want to make this fascist, but
That's the words I just don't expect to hear.
Can you actually just hit up a general insight check, I think, to suss out the vibes, the ambience.
The vibes roll insight.
Yeah. Because it's boring if you roll perception the whole time, you know? You gotta think of some other things for you to roll.
14.
Vibe check.
Okay, 14 on the
roll.
vibe check. Okay, well, for starters, it's fastidiously clean. Beautiful. There is nary a stone chipped. The stonework is immaculate. A lot of it's very symmetrical, and he's talking about the stone works place all being hand carved. If this was all hand carved, holy shit! There's a lot that went into the building of this city. Person vibes. Most of the people you are seeing here feel like they are not from here. There are very few people like Ilavesh, and those that are the 14, those that stand out to you and look like they're from a different culture, majoritively seem to be Asimar or Tieflings, which is a strange combination of people to see. But you have these incredibly seraphic-looking, very blonde, bright-eyed individuals walking around in these very, prim robes. Just going about their daily business, coffee in hand, reading a paper. You've got tieflings doing much the same in similar sort of cut robes. Yeah. As in terms of vagrants, absolutely nothing. You do not see a single kind of... There are also a lot of guards in the section. And they seem to all be posted in front of the roads that would lead you off the ascent into the valley, the ice cream bowl section. You're not higher than the first plaza, But anything that would take you off this this track seems to be watched. I think also with a 14, yeah, you get the vibe that people watch you. Not the foreigners, not the traders. Like they're just going about their business. They've work to do. But people that are from here do watch you, particularly Osiris, Bray as well. The more colourful of you, they kind of give you pause and just sort of look at you and just there's no particular judgment. They just take it in and continue.
If anyone is staring at Osiris, like no matter who it is, how long they're staring for, he's either gonna wave at them or go, "Hi, how you doing? What's going on?" And he's just sort of like really probably making a bit of a scene. He's not loud. His voice isn't really carrying as much, but yeah, he's definitely trying to maybe elicit a reaction from anyone that has looked at him.
Yeah, there's maybe like a little tiefling kid that runs up to you and like nervously goes, "Hi, I'm Petra."
What does the tiefling child look like?
It's like a soft kind of blue mess of white hair, like probably not brushed it in a while, but is wearing like quite fluffy robes, you know, like he's quite gathered at the shoulders, like a little belt on him. He looks like somebody's dressed him maybe, and they've kind of put him in slightly ridiculous clothes. Maybe this kid wouldn't dress like this if it was given a choice.
Osiris looks down at the kid, and after a short pause, he like smiles a lot bigger. He starts patting the tiefling on the head, like sort of ruffling his hair, and he leans down and he whispers something into his ear, and the kid walks away. Well, I mean, the kid might not walk away, but I'm assuming the kid walks away. I will DM you, Clood.
I'm gonna hold
I
off
am
on
the
the reaction
captain
till I
now.
know what on earth that is.
Yo, great day.
I am the captain now.
Irish, look at me.
While Sai DMs you, I have a quick question. Is the ascent you mentioned, is this a long staircase, or is it like kind of like a steep road that we're going up?
Steep road, yeah. It's like maybe one carriage either side could go down. This apparently is the Varsala highway, but like there's lots of so either side are steps. The center of it's paved cobblestones. People like going up and down on either side.
Cool. How is no direction dealing with this steep road? Because I know personally from experience, a long walk up a steep road gets you out of breath pretty quick. So curious how everyone else is doing.
Probably all right, yeah.
The kid looks up at Osiris and starts to cry
Oh my god!
and runs away.
Sorry, what?
What just happened?
What did you
That's a
do?
dramatic incident for sure.
It's like the eyes start to water, and it's like, you know, that old saying, like, don't meet your idols. It's really giving that. Like it goes from like admiration and adoration to this like cool older tiefling in armor that looks kind of different to the other folk, to like pure heartbreak.
No.
Osiris turns around and looks at the group to see if anyone saw that.
What would that be? Passive perception?
100%.
I think the monks probably see it. If any of you describe yourselves as perceptive individuals, so you have a positive modifier, let's say, you'll have noticed it. Probably Moddy as well.
Yeah, you would have seen that.
Alright, so the monks and the cleric. You feel perceived by them, Osiris.
What are you two staring at? Come on.
What was that? Osiris?
I don't think I'm very good with children, he says.
What did you
What
tell
did
the
you
poor
say
thing?
to
I don't know what it is. I said I just told him his horns looked really pretty. I don't know.
Insight check.
I don't think you have any reason to think that this would be a lie.
Okay. That's
I-
fair.
What's
You
the rest
can,
of you?
you can insight check me if you want.
No. I don't believe you're lying. You're not lying.
Alright. Do it.
No, it's fine.
No, do it!
Ah! Sorry, I've lost roll 20.
I'm sorry to be that guy, but has this kid's destiny just changed to
7.
make them the next big
I
bad
don't believe-
villain?
Do you want to read that child's destiny?
It's now
Well,
become the BB.
Is this moment so formative in the scope of their destiny that I would notice? Like limited, not as how.
No.
No, okay, fine, cool, that's fine. Then I would not insight check that.
No.
That's fine. 7. So nothing.
Lucifer, Osiris looks kind of like panicked at like this child suddenly welling up in tears. Like you get the sense that like he's not explaining himself very well because he's just so embarrassed that this has just happened in front of everyone. And he's kind of muttering like as you're sort of like eyeing him, he's like, I mean, I tried to say it in Infernal, but my Infernal just isn't really good. And I maybe I told him they looked ugly, but I couldn't really say for sure because my parents, I mean, my God, like they are amazing parents, but they really weren't too good on my education in terms of Infernal. I mean, Common was definitely more something that they really pushed me towards, and I think that has really helped me to be. And he just like keeps talking.
Just all sit there, like understandingly, just like languages are very difficult. I understand.
And Arim will come in with, "Don't worry, they're a kid. I had worse."
You need not fear. Their destiny has not changed significantly.
Where I'm from, you just pick up kids by their ankles and swing them around, and that doesn't do them any harm, so...
Exactly.
Is that in between talking about genitalia?
Where exactly are you from?
Well, the kids are allowed in the pub, but they have to stay in at the tables. With the dogs.
What, you will talk about genitalia?
Well, they're not allowed above the table, and that's where we talk about dicks and how much we get paid.
All
The
right,
dicks are below the table.
Buddy
Shut
just squints a little bit. Yeah. So they just get to look at the dicks. They don't get to talk about them.
No, our trousers are on. We're in the pub.
Wow.
What's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you?
I kind of like put my hand on Bray's shoulder and I'm just like, I'm sorry, Bray. I'm really, truly sorry.
Sorry about? I don't understand.
I hope it's better now.
So,
it's
Clood,
really
Ash turns around and is like, if you have finished upsetting our up-and-coming young talent, shall we proceed to Debtor's Plaza?
Nothing happened. Let's go. No problems here. Let's go. And as we're walking away, Arin will sort of sidle over to Mercy, put an arm over Mercy's shoulder and be like, "Why this one, eh?"
It's hard to say, I think it's just a product of intersecting warps. Sometimes strange, sometimes a chance encounter.
La. Not what I'm talking about. I'm asking you specifically why you choose this one today. Nobody likes this one. This one is all of this. It's like the man who's leading us is kind of whispers, this guy here, this person, this girl, nobody likes it. Why have you chosen this one? You can't choose anything.
His face, her face ripples and becomes Arim's face, and he says, "Would you like? I can sound more like this? Is this more pleasing to you?
Arim stops, stands bolt upright with his fingers, points at him, just like, that's not allowed. That is.
Okay. It is making you uncomfortable. I will stop. His face flickers and ripples, and like a Polyjuice potion, becomes Atropos' face once again. All right.
Fine. Fine. Me? Never. Never. But the one before, nobody wants that.
As you wish.
It's not a wish you can do as a. We are all free people. But I'm just telling you because you deserve to know.
I don't see the faces in the same way that you do. You must forgive me, Arim.
Forgive is too strong. Now we walk.
After you.
After me.
He'll follow.
God,
I actually thought your last one was really nice, like the one before and the one before that. So don't worry.
Well, I'm very thankful. I'm glad that you like those faces. I will endeavour to use them more often. Osiris.
Playing both sides here.
You guys are so degenerate. I love this. Okay, so you walk away. Yeah, actually, good question posed by Erin a while back. How are y'all doing walking up a steep hill?
What?
I'm ready for this check. This is my moment.
Virgil doesn't do cardio, so he's breathing quite heavily. Only wait.
Cardio is probably the only thing that Mercy does, so probably okay.
Did you just say Virgil?
You did.
Mercy.
Now I'm
That's
a little
not what it was.
motivated.
Character's name, Jamie.
Sorry, I meant Lucifer.
Lucifer.
So how's everyone else looking? Going up this steep, very steep hill.
Do we need to roll checks? What's the
No,
check?
you can just tell me if you're fit or not.
Frey's having no problem.
Yeah.
Let's say
Struggling.
this first one is, can you handle 15 stories?
Oh yeah.
Struggling, but trying his hardest not to show it.
15 stories.
15
Okay,
stories.
by about floor 3, Osiris is fucking heaving. He is sweating. He like takes off his sword and drops it to the ground to take a break, and then like drags it back on, and it doesn't quite hook back onto his back because he's just so fucking weak. Like he is just like trying to keep a smile on his face. You can hear him probably wheezing from about 10 meters away.
Frey like has been walking next to Lucifer and seeing Lucifer kind of like get mildly out of breath, and he's been like kind of like nudging him in like, come on, you can do better, you can do better. And then he like hears the sword clattering to the ground behind him and turns around to see Osiris like several yards behind where they are, and he's like, oh, here we go again. And he goes over to Osiris and he'll say, come on, get on my back, and he'll crouch down and offer Osiris to get onto his back. Use your sword. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Osiris jumps on his just gets on that piggyback action, and he is surprisingly heavy for someone of his height. I mean, you would
Dense.
imagine that the armor and the sword and his bag would weigh quite a lot, but it is significantly heavier than what you expected.
Cool.
Ray, I can't let you take it. Give me the sword at least.
No, I've got this. And he's gonna
Ray,
have
seriously?
Osiris on his back, and he's also gonna have Osiris' sword in his other hand as well, as he's like holding his feet. He's like, all right, let's go. And he's gonna stubbornly keep marching up the ascent.
As Bray just storms past Lucifer, like up the stairs, like Osiris is just looking at Lucifer, like grinning, like, this is great!
Such a sigh. And keep like striding forward.
Bray kind of throws like a smug look over his shoulder to Lucifer, being like, "Look how much I can carry." I'm not
Lucifer
breaking
starts
a
running.
sweat.
Lucifer starts running up there.
Bray, are you gonna try and sprint with a full-grown man on your back and plate armor?
Yes, I am.
All right, could I have contracts from both of you, please? Both of yous.
no.
Is it athletics? Now, let us DM debate the rules at length for
No,
the rest
right,
of the
athletics.
stream.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, let's athletics this
Thank
one.
you,
Yeah,
Luke.
that's
You
You
good.
attempt to climb a sheer or slippery cliff.
I
Yeah,
love
you
it.
For competition, you called for it.
You're right.
24.
24.
Hot damn.
Now I'm a little more.
Now that Lucifer is in fact a little motivated, he sprints past Ilavesh, whose robes kind of billow with the like speed at which this guy zips up the hill. Bray, how are you doing? What's the roll?
You guys know that Bray is incredibly athletic. You've seen him bench press several people at once. You've seen him scale the sides of buildings. You've seen him, like, anything you can think that is the pinnacle of athleticism, you've seen it. And he's done it. And he's not even broken a sweat. Alderus is actually very heavy. He's struggling. That plate armor, plus the sword, no wonder Osiris struggles to carry it. He tries to keep up with Lucifer, and he starts actually panting a bit, and he's like, "How to do this?" And he slips to a normal pace, and Lucifer
What's the
leaves in the
roll?
dust. I rolled a 5, which brought me to a total of 12. Half of Jamie's roll.
That total
Don't
was
do
sub
it,
10.
Clood. Don't do it, Clood.
If that total was sub 10, you have an exhaustion point, but I'm kind and merciful.
Thank you. Merciful DM.
You make it to Debtor's Plaza. Most of you
Somehow.
maybe a little feeling it slightly in the calves. Lucifer, you've won, but at what cost? You are heaving. You are
Yeah,
panting.
I mean,
You're a mess. Bray, you are absolutely a mess. Osiris, you're doing great. You've recovered. You've wiped the sweat from your brow. Maybe you're hopping off at the end.
the answer to a what cost is it doesn't matter.
You've won. It was worth it. Whatever the price was, you've paid it. Speaking of paying prices, my friends, you are led into the lowest of Varsala's plazas, Debtor's Plaza, aptly named. This is clearly the first that a visitor coming in from the docks would reach. The main feature of this, beyond huge stores, massive storefronts, these to you look like high-end boutiques, jewelry in general, actually, glimmering, beautiful pieces in the windows, pearl, diamond, silver, really quite exceptional. The main feature of this plaza, beyond the central church that sits at one end, is a massive fountain. It is highly sculptural. It looks to be almost glimmering in its whiteness. It is very, very beautiful. A mass of glimmering pale, you think it might be corals actually, cascading upwards. Water falling down from the mouth of what you begin to identify as skulls, perhaps at the top. Pearl-coated skulls that kind of fall down into the larger pool of the fountain. This statue depicts a figure, tall and imposing. Male, best you can tell from the build. I say best you can tell because he is wrapped in wraith-like, billowing fabric, cascading curls of magic, you name it. The figure is veiled, in fact, from his spired headpiece to the ankle. It's carved from stone, but it looks like it could be fabric, sheer fabric, the way it drapes across figures, the like curves of his face. Best you can see again, the face of this figure sits beneath curls of hair, this hefty, intricate crown. It's a remarkably beautiful face. Smooth, perfectly carved, and these rivulets of glowing water from the skulls up in the headpiece, seafoam green in tone, run through the curves in the hair and the statue, and actually they almost begin to float away. Kind of lifted up by some unknowable gravity, eventually reaching their way, kind of spiraling down into the water at the base of the fountain, which is a gleaming pool. Inside this water, you can see what looks to be money, a lot of money, gems, wealth. The statue holds one hand open, kind of welcoming. And along the rim of the fountain pool is carved a phrase. And in fact, Ilavesh walks up to this. It's in common, but it seems for the drama. He narrates, "Pay your debt to the deathless. Entreat your tithe to our king. Watchful is the emperor's vigilance. Pray it be his satisfaction you hear sing. Now I will ask for your tithe." And he just outstretches a hand to the fountain. And he seems to give no further explanation.
It seems there's no recommendation forthcoming. Sorry, it seems there's no... I presume we must impress.
Oh, yeah, I can impress. And he gets out his purse, his little bag of coins, and he drops 1 silver. It's a very dirty looking coin. It's not very impressive. He seems to think it is. Ozra seems to be very proud of putting the grand total of 1 silver into this. Is it like a fountain, did you say, DM?
Yep. Big statue and big tiered fountain.
Yeah, he very intentionally drops it in, turns around to the guy, and beams at him.
Ilavesh beams back and says, "The dread emperor offers protection from the ravages of aberrant magic on this island, but it comes at a cost. I suggest that you please him."
How does he know how much we put in?
It's in the poem. Watchful is the emperor's vigilance.
Does your emperor accept only monetary tithe? Or is
He
there
does
something
not.
else?
Wealth is something that he has in spades, but power subservient. Magic he will accept all, in generous bounties. And as he says generous bounties, he looks at Osiris and quirks an eyebrow.
He kind of turns back to her and says, "Power and magic?"
Yes,
So
power.
he then kind of shrugs and he turns and he casts Channel Divinity at the fountain.
You cast Channel Divinity at the fountain. Okay, so that's your feature, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, cool. So as you call upon the warmth of your gods, that heat leaves your fingertips. And you actually see it almost dissipate from your nail beds, from everywhere in your hand, as it's drawn out, ripped out almost from your hands. And almost sucked down into the pool of the fountain.
I feel like it doesn't feel like a generous offering. It feels like it's stealing it from me, or like
It feels like it is accepted. It's
Okay.
keenly welcomed. Could you make an insight check for me, please, actually, Morty?
Oh. 15.
Okay. The face is veiled. You can kind of make out the face somewhat. With a 15, you are so sure the corner of the mouth has quirked upwards ever so slightly.
I don't know if I like that.
Lucifer will hang back. Wait for others to go first.
Bray has not actually put Osiris down yet. He's still holding him on his back, almost like as a to make a point to Lucifer. And he's kind of shuffled him to the side, like on the weight on his back, so he could get a hand free. And he's reached into his jacket and he's pulled out his coin pouch. And now he's like looking at Lucifer, waiting to see how much Lucifer puts into the fountain. And he's like very pointedly staring at Lucifer.
Sorry, I'm just looking through what I can give. So, is no one else going?
You probably noticed that Mercy's eyes, you see like the eyes go completely opaque, his changeling skin tone, pupils disappear, the face of Atropos starts to fade around the eyes as the human begins to disappear from his face, and he's just standing there transfixed, staring at this fountain.
If half the stories are true, then we welcome the protection of the Dread Emperor. And I will go forward and drop 500 gold in there. As well
500
as
gold.
summon an unseen servant and command it to drop into the pool.
You're giving him 500 gold, alright.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And an unseen servant.
Okay, as you drop 500 gold into the pool, it's not a formation of words. You don't hear words spoken to you, but you feel this almost like tickle on your ears as though someone has whispered something into it. And it feels like pleasure. It feels not thankful, but like you've done the right thing. And the kind of green light that previously afflicted your friends in a way they maybe didn't like ripples and attaches onto your sword, the Yamato, and nestles into it, burrows its way in, and it seems friendly and at home. I'm gonna message you what that does.
That's Green Flame Blade. I can already cast it.
It's not, Jamie. It's not.
Okay. I've also used my only first level spell, so I will look over at Bray.
Bray's all the color drains out of his tanned face as he sees Lucifer just dumping his entire coin pouch into the fountain because he knows he cannot be shown up by Lucifer. So
As Lucifer walks back, as Lucifer walks back, he just like says to Bray, "Power before money, Bray. Always."
Before Bray actually gets a chance to drop any of the money into the fountain, Osiris on his back starts like grappling for the coin pouch and bothering Bray, going, so how much are you going to put in? I mean, I already put some in. I don't know if you need any. And like in this scramble for words, he pushes the whole entire pouch into the fountain out of Bray's hand.
Oh
wow!
Okay, let's make some checks here. I fucking love this.
it happens.
It just happens.
You're just gonna. That's just gonna happen.
What's gonna happen? Bray was already thinking, "Oh shit, I have to put all of my money in too to match Lucifer." Osiris did it for him, but he's like still kind of a little bit shell shocked because he hadn't quite mentally prepared himself for spending
As
all
the
of his earnings.
as the pouch is dropping, Osiris is like kind of like fumbling. He's like, oh no, I didn't mean to throw the whole thing, and he's like trying to grab at it as it falls out of his hand and misses.
No, it's okay, Osiris. That was how much I wanted to put in anyway. In fact, actually, I wanted to put one of these in as well. And he unsheaths one of the javelins from his back and just tosses it into the fountain as well.
Okay, so Osiris, as you do this, as the coins dissipate into the fountain, they melt and ripple across the surface of the water. Bray, you don't hear anything. Osiris, however, you do hear words, in fact. You hear a soft, crooning voice say, You I do like. And I'll message you what you get for this bullshit. Bray!
Wait a second. On a scale of like 1 to 10 stranger danger, how like on end am I head? Like, how on edge am I feeling?
It's so personable. You feel so pleased that this voice is happy with you.
It's a 30 charisma voice.
Having the approval of this voice feels like something you didn't know you were missing your whole life. Bray, you drop a javelin into the fountain. Can you make an insight check for me, please?
Sure. That's a 17.
17? You feel like he's not mad, he's just disappointed.
What? Is that not
That's
enough
worse.
for you? And he's gonna take another javelin off his back and slam that into the fountain, then the other javelin and slam that one into, and that's some out of javelins now.
Fetch helpfully supplies. Blood would probably also do if you're getting desperate.
I mean, I already gave him my entire coin pouch. So what more does he want from me?
As Bray is like
That's
trying to
all
like
done.
grab for more javelins and he's like just throwing them in, like Osiris is just like trying to helpfully supply with like popcorn out of his pockets and putting it into his hand.
He's like throwing the popcorn kernels into the fountain. It's everything I own.
Your pleas seem to fall on deaf ears.
Here, I
It's
forgot this as well, and he like throws a book into the fountain.
Rather than a stern kind of disappointment, like this, it's a statue. It's not smirking at you, but it totally is. Like,
I've got this as well, and he throws an ink pot and an ink pen into the fountain too. He's just like scrambling for things that are in his bag.
This is kind of sad.
I think that's 3 of us done.
Oh wait, was it pleased with the channel divinity? It was happy with that?
I mean, it seems you get the sense that there's been a slight smile.
Okay, alright.
Mercy. What debt will you pay to the deathless?
I think Mercy's still just looking at this fountain in horror. Unlike some of the other things, he sees the power of this thing to change destinies as over like hundreds and hundreds of fates of all the creatures who've paid tithes in Varsala. They've had their fates altered in some way, either by giving money or something of themselves, which has led them down different paths than they otherwise might have walked. And he's seeing this as like a sunshine in his like sight of the future, and he's horrified by it in his current state, and kind of seeing. I think for the first moment he sees with clarity Bray going towards. He sees Bray taking out like a knife. He sees Bray like raising the knife over his wrist, but holding it above the fountain. And kind of as he does so, something grips him, and Mercy's eyes, they return to the human coloring, the brown eyebrows, the blank eyes disappear, and he reaches out and into the future and changes Bray's future, and I will spend a luck point for Bray.
Oh,
Interesting.
Yeah.
A luck point.
What does the luck point do?
I'm consulting my table of tithes and effects, and I hadn't considered what a luck point might scale in.
Something that gives advantage, I guess, right?
I think what you get here is, to you, Mercy, the statue sees what you are doing. It perceives. I'll say this because you're insightful, right? Like you have very deep understanding of people, the world around you. You can kind of read it and see it. But roll it anyway. Actually, make an insight check. I want to tell you things, but you can't have it for free.
So tell me about Red
No.
Plaza. That'll make that.
But does anyone ask me a lore question? I mean, I'll tell you.
No, I got a 9.
A 9. Okay. It sees what you're doing. You feel seen. You don't know if that has worked in your favor or in Bray's.
So I think Atropos, the human face that he wears, after that point, kind of mutters to himself, "Ball Nexus. Thousands. Ah. This place." Shivers and turns to Arim and he says, "Well, I hope you won't take this the wrong way, but something must be paid. I suppose you didn't want to see this face again." And the human Atropos ripples into Arim's face once more. Mercy steps towards the fountain, plunges his face into the fountain,
Oh boy.
and will give to in tithe the visage of Arim. So he cannot shape. So the intention being he's giving up the ability to take the form of Arim ever again.
I asked what would happen if I jumped in, and I guess we're about to find out. So
He did DM me and say, "What would happen if I put my hand in the fountain?"
To take your hand.
No, I didn't say. I said fall in.
There is no harm that comes to you when you offer yourself willingly and freely. As you place yourself into the fountain respectfully, you feel as though something similar happens to you as what happens with Lucifer, where the mists that aren't there but sometimes are there, the green striations that exist within them every once in a while, again settle around you, in you, and encompass your hands, settle into the cracks between your knuckles and the little dimples in your hands. And you feel somewhat... I will message you, actually. But you do also feel as though that weakness, that wrongness that affected you earlier is gone. You feel protected, actually, from the ill effects that faced you earlier when you first stepped on this island. Yeah, I'll message you the other thing.
Okay.
Can you
You
imagine?
are, however, no longer able to use that persona.
Okay. So assuming
you know
that
deeply, that identity is gone. Ahim is someone you could never seek to impersonate again.
assuming that as the face is literally ripped away from his skin, it kind of shifts back, and as Mercy stands up, for probably the second or third time that you've ever seen them, they wear their changeling form.
Yeah, the face literally melts off Mercy. It's actually kind of gross. The way that the like flesh bubbles and just drips off.
Well, at least Areem's face didn't fall off.
Areem
Rude.
thinks to himself,
Like first encounters
nobody.
is with like a malicious gin that just like twists all of our times into horrible gifts.
Areem thinks to himself, nobody could have given so much.
Ray kind of startles a little bit when he sees Mercy's face. He's like, "Oh, you okay, Mercy? That looks painful."
He like wheezes, and you see like for a second it's like three faces. There's like a bit of an elf, a bit of a dwarf, a bit of a horn, and then for a second after the wheezing stops, Mercy shudders and returns to Atropos, the human with the grizzly beard.
I kneel down and offer a health potion. Are you okay? Is there anything you need?
It was the best way. Areem, you must give something as well.
Areem looks around to each and everyone. Yet a sense he doesn't wish to be outdone, or to seem weak, or to seem shy or scared. And as he steps forward, DM, do we get the impression, perhaps, is it a bias, a favour towards magical gifts or gifts of essence?
You can't tell. It feels like the statue, right? It doesn't particularly care if you're giving it money, power. It just cares that you're giving shit. It actually feels like a respect thing. It's not really out for money. Like, you just look into the bowl of the fountain and it is full of, like, diamonds and material wealth. A lot of tithes have been paid here. This thing just wants to know that you know that he's in charge.
In that case, Areem walks over, takes aside his gold pouch, holds it up, and does a bit of display, and pours in the region of 350 gold in there.
250?
Yeah, so let me mark that off. 350.
Why does everyone have so much fucking cash?
Everyone has 500 gold, as specified at the start of the campaign.
Oh.
But you've still got 500
You've
gold,
still
Oscar.
got
I mean,
No,
You're paying her in tonight.
For
So we go
real.
to like House Montague and they're like, yeah, it's going to be 1 gold to stay at night, or actually in the stables, and we're sleeping in the
does
fucking
everyone know that everyone has 500 gold?
No, I don't think you necessarily know what you all have. You've
Right.
split your money on previous adventures, but you don't know what y'all spending it on. Maybe Osra spent it all on his armor. It's very nice.
I would not have changed the amount I put in there. knowing that, so.
Yeah, putting in someone else's money. It's
Perfect.
great.
And so
5-finger discount.
Areem lets every coin trickle through his hand. It takes a while. It's quite awkward. The sound of coins clattering into the water in the bowl. And he sort of puts the rest back to his belt. You see him ties it quickly. Like, guy's been moving coin his life. And as he moves to step away, he steps back and he slit his own hand just straight down the middle there. With a dagger he's pulled from nowhere. And blood begins gushing from the palm of his hand. And a good amount goes in. And he holds his hand tight.
If you had to
And he goes-
numerically evaluate the amount of blood, maybe on a hit points sort of scale.
Straight up hit points, or hit points as a proportion of total hit points?
just arbitrarily give me a number of how
So
many
that-
bloods you put in there.
That can only be 1d6 from that. So let's say 1d6 from that. So 6.
Roll that bad boy. Oh,
And,
6 damage.
and as he steps away, again, he takes the dagger in his bloodied hand once more
Mm-hmm.
and slits his other hand
Oh
for another
boy.
6. And the guy's being dramatic about it, like a fucking bullfighter. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's got his hands out in front of him, and they're just gushing drips of blood. And he's doing this and shit, like he's some fucking chemomancer or something.
You pay your debt to the deathless, who seems to appreciate the show. And
as I step away, I spend 2 key points to heal myself. That amount of damage. Yeah.
Fine. No, still a resource. Okay. Yeah, you feel similarly accepted, seen. Like he's pleased by your respect. And that slowness, the slump in your shoulders that afflicted you earlier, gone. You're fine on your dex saves. That's all good.
Justice.
Ray, as you throw ink pots in, javelins, baubles,
Receipts.
how are you speaking to the statue? Are you saying anything to it?
I'm saying, is this not enough for you? I've given you everything I've got. He's kind of like really
everything I've got,
impassioned.
Patton.
He's like really upset. Here, take this, and he like throws his bedroll in, and this, and he throws his tinderbox in, and this, and he throws his torch in.
There's nothing there, but you feel a cold hand on the back of yours, almost like it's holding you still. It's a very soft, almost quite intimate touch. And again, it says into your ear, "But you've not given me everything, have you? You still have your life, and so much of it." And it laughs after it says this. It sounds like it's having fun.
Would Bray understand, especially after seeing Arheem give the blood tithe, that's what the voice is wanting?
Yeah, I'll say it even feels like a hand has gripped your chin and turn your head towards him.
Well, not gonna be outshone by Arheem. Bray finally puts Ozris down on the ground, and this is only so he can unsheath his great axe from his back, because that's the only blade he's got left after throwing all of his javelins away. And he's gonna look at the great axe. He's gonna look at his hand. And with the grace of a butcher, he's gonna try to slice his hand with his great axe.
Could you make an attack roll here, please?
I'm gonna use a luck point.
Okay, so it's just a that is a 17 to hit, and my AC is 15, so I hit myself, right?
You sure do, buddy.
Yes! Hell yes! Hell fucking yes! I got a 1, and I get to choose which dice they use.
Well, so, okay, I think you all wince a little bit as you see Bray swing a whole-ass great axe down on his own hand. You're, expecting to see fingers flying, maybe a hand just drop straight in the pool. Bray, what's the intention here?
It's just trying to slice my hand, but, DM's discretion what actually happens.
You, it's good. You know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. Were you less practiced with an axe? This could have gone pretty badly. Was your strike not quite as well aimed as your prowess allows you to? The rest of the party, you probably feel like that would have been a hand flopping down into the pool. But actually, Bray makes a pretty deft strike on the palm of his hand. And how much tithe are you paying?
I suppose that would be 1d12 plus 5 worth of blood.
1d12 plus 5.
Let me roll that.
Whoa.
Okay, he drips 11 points of blood into the pool.
Oh
So
my,
them,
Bray,
right?
what do? Oh my God, you're
Bray,
bleeding. And Osrus goes up to Bray, holds his hand, and there's again this like warm glow, but it's so yellow it burns your retinas, and you feel basically nothing. He gives you 1 HP with his lay on hands, but you feel this really intense need to say thank you and that you feel better from the way that Osrus is like beaming up at you and making you feel like he's done this great kind of deed for you. Like he looks so happy with himself and he looks so caring and so like driven to make you feel better.
Cheers, Ozzy, and he gives him like a little pat on the shoulder.
Bray, that hand massages your chin, makes its way down to your hand, and you hear a, "You didn't really have to, but I appreciate it." And the presence just seems to vanish. Again, I'll message you. But actually, Ilavesh is watching you all with a kind of measured sort of... He kind of nods. Well, I'm glad you are all raised to show respect to your betters. Thank you for observing our customs. I imagine that you will be treated in kind in your continued stay here. I am sure you will get on well with the General when you meet him. Speaking of... And he whips around really quickly, actually. You've only seen him move, like, very slowly, very softly, and, like, deliberately, maybe. And he snaps his fingers. The guardsman, who's standing in the square, he's dressed a little better than the rest of the town guard, it seems. And Ilavesh calls over a pretty sullen-looking man, to be honest. He stands on the edge of what's maybe 6 foot tall. He probably tells people he's 6 foot tall, but he might not quite be that. He looks like he's probably an elf. Well proportioned in very well kept plate armor. He stands apart from the other guards in that he wears more than the rest. What he wears, there are just physically more plates, but they're also more intricate. The metal is like a pale silver almost that shimmers with that same pearlescent gleam that you've observed in the fog and the mist, in the pearls that the well-to-do seem to wear. It makes you think that almost the surface of some of the filigree on the armor might actually just be pearl-coated. Sarah's white, choppy, styled kind of lazily. He kind of looks like he can't be fucked. But the longest bit kind of falls past his shoulders. He's sort of like, he gives that I've gotten out of bed energy. I'm here, but I've put my armor on. Good job, me. He has really, really intense blue eyes. Maybe a little like pupilless as well. And they look at you with the most bored look you have ever been faced with in your life. Ilavesh motions over and he says, "Allow me to introduce to you Lieutenant Alatan. My dearest Lieutenant, would you bear these travelers up to see the General?" As the General's name is mentioned, the soldier, his back straightens almost immediately, and he blinks, and he says, "Yes, of course. Yes, I will." He turns to the rest of you, and maybe looking a little more alert and a little more bothered, suddenly as though he's going somewhere important. He looks at you and says, "I'm Colitha Alatan, Lieutenant of the Pale Guard. Pleasure, I suppose." And he gives a slight incline of the head. Do you
Or
introduce
human?
yourself? Elf, you think. Pointed ears,
think.
very slight features. He's very pale. Very, very pale. Very
Human?
washed out.
Oh, I'm sorry, you said, but alive?
A 50-50 on that one, maybe.
Hmm.
He has quite dark shadows under his eyes, and the way the light kind of hits his quite sharp cheekbones beneath it. The shadow that's cast doesn't look like a healthy one. He doesn't look emaciated per se. He does look well built and athletic. It's more just the color feels a little off to you. A little more on the purple blue scale than the rosy pink cheeks.
Would I presume the pale guard mean nothing to anyone?
No, you've never heard that phrase before.
And it's
Would you say he's
lieutenant,
looking
right?
a little bit more vascular than he is arterial?
Yeah.
So he's the lieutenant. We're here to do the general. How many ranks above is that?
We're gonna have to go through every military rank before we get
Isn't
there.
it? It's lieutenant captain. Is captain above lieutenant? I do not know army ranks. Holy
don't
shit!
know.
Well, you
Captain
don't
is
know what
above
the
lieutenant, yeah.
you don't know what the ranks are in Varsala. They can swap it around. Who doesn't know? So she's just
You
put
could have
rank
lieutenant
around.
captain.
Private is actually number one in charge.
He looks to all of you. So, who do I have the pleasure of escorting then?
Oh gosh,
All of us.
this is where we come up with it, I think, guys.
No, we've given our name. It's
You are
fine.
no direction.
We are no
We are
direction.
no direction. We require some direction.
Lucifer Elrod of no direction.
I'm sorry.
It's quite all right.
I'm Bray Maleg of No Direction, and we're here on summons from General Montague. And he-
Montague, we understand that you have
No,
some
no,
issues
no,
in your vault.
Lucifer, look. It's Montague, that's how the locals pronounce it.
Can I look at the statue when he says Montague?
Yeah, go on then. You can insight check the statue. and
Yes,
just
I was
like a
insight check the statue.
stupid
of
pronunciation
Montague.
of his general.
Is it funny or is it you just fucked up? That's a 12. No,
It's a statue, dude.
yeah,
It's made of stone.
yeah. I think to myself, why am I looking at a statue? Turn back around.
But maybe it appreciates that you thought that a piece of stone's opinion was important. The sentient piece of stone probably feels respected by that.
We flattered the stone.
And I assume you will give your names to the member of the guard, do you?
That's enough.
Osiris Sunsung. And he puts out his hand. Does he shake it?
He looks at it. Looks back at you. Charmed, I'm sure.
Osiris goes to grab his hand anyway.
Oh my god.
It's for you watching this, it's so awkward. Like, this guy clearly does not want to touch another person on this planet. And Osiris, like, he doesn't have pockets, he's wearing plate armor. But Osiris, like, grabs his wrist. He just, like, physically winces and, like, recoils. Like, he's just really not here for human contact. And he very limply shakes it with a slight grimace.
Osiris's hand is sticky. He puts his hand back in his pocket and walks back,
Sticky pocket.
looking very pleased with himself.
Looks down at his hand and flexes his fingers, grits his teeth, and puts his hand behind his back and looks to the next of you. I'm actually quite glad we don't have to do the introductions for all of you. Nobody offers a name. And he turns away and says, I'll see to a carriage then. Are they expected? And Ilavesh shrugs and says, I don't think so, not really. And fairly, you've maybe a few minutes while a carriage is summoned. Fairly soon, quite a large, quite nice carriage, looks pretty plush, is supplied. It fits all of you, somehow. and it fits the guardsman as well. And he climbs in the back with you after whispering some instructions to the driver, who seems again to wear this wide-brimmed hat and wear more simple armor, similar to Colitha's, but not quite the same. And Colitha climbs in the back with you. He sits opposite, and maybe like in between some of you. I don't know. You know that like taxi thing where you've got seats facing each other? And he just like stares kind of hatefully past you guys who he's facing. He just like, if there's like glass at the back, he's just like staring out of it like he really just does not want to be there. And soon the carriage starts to move. Unless there is anything you would like to do before you get in the carriage, of course.
Can I reach out a hand to shake it as I go past?
To Colitha. He looks down at it purposefully and just walks past.
Us.
Okay.
How
This,
spacious is this carriage that we're in?
you're very shoulder to shoulder.
Is it confined at the top or is it open?
Confined at the top.
How's
Yeah,
Maudie doing?
Oh, you're
It's just so-
huge!
He's like 8'2".
Yeah.
After actually wait, no, because it doesn't work that way, doesn't it? No, yeah, he's just stuck like that. Because even if he disguises himself, it doesn't make a difference. It's just how he looks. So his neck's just like to the side, and he's got a small book out, and he's just reading it like with a slightly annoyed look on his face.
Yeah, so this carriage is fitting 7 people, 2 of which are in plate. Bray is huge. You've got a
Maudie's huge.
massive guy in the form of Maudie. It's pretty cramped. You're definitely all very much pressed against each other.
Is there suspension on this carriage, or is it just dragging the bottom of it along the ground?
I'd say it's suspended. Yeah. And as you kind of
Is it just like, you know, the standard interior of a carriage, or is it like a bit grotty in there? What's the deal?
very nice. It's very, very nice. If you'd like to investigation check, actually, if you're specifically interested.
Yes, if it's very nice. I suppose, you know, one might look if there's anything of value. What does that come to?
D&D session.
It's a
He's trying to
total
steal
of
everything.
3.
3? No. What you get as far as is, oh man, the windows are tinted. Shame.
One
Seat
couldn't
stuff.
steal the upholstery, could they? So
No, you're all sat on the upholstery. Pretty hard to get away with that.
shame.
No.
Shame for
Um,
now.
For now. Yeah, so as you sit in the back of this carriage, Colitha kind of occasionally says, so, House Montague's at the top. It's a wild ride.
What is your opinion of the general?
He immediately, straightens his back. He's an incredible man. Truly.
A man worthy of your respect.
An immense amount of it, yes.
That seems difficult to come by.
Not if you deserve it. And he kind of returns to looking out tinted glass.
Can I try and end up next to Colitha?
Yeah, right.
Tell me, why is the Pale Guard not entrusted with the mission we have been given? Is it your
We-
personal failings or something else?
We have been in the past. It's not gone well for us.
So your personal failings.
It's not a competency thing. It's if you're from here, you're not getting into that vault kind of thing.
Basically, they're trying to say they're only level 4.
I see.
You could read a man, Arim. This guy is way up on level 4.
Wait, okay. One of them guards, then that's like level 20.
He's a
It must be
big boy.
disappointing for you.
Not particularly.
Failing isn't disappointing for a man of your stature, working for a man you respect so much.
When the man I respect so much also can't do the task, I accept that it's beyond me.
Accepting limits? Is that the type of place I've arrived in?
Sorry, do we not meet your standards?
No, I suppose I just expected this. I just expected more.
Well, I mean, the average standard is kind of medium because my standards are quite low and his is quite high, so I wouldn't be too worried about it.
Arthur looks at you, and despite the sticky hand incident, kind of like releases a breath of tension and goes, I appreciate that. Much as your friend seems to think I am quite good at my job, that's why I got my promotion in the first place, so make of that what you will. What's, he looks a little awkward as he asks this. What's the rest of the world like? What's happening?
Does he ask that to Ozras?
It's just like an open
Or a
question. He's
general
not,
question?
he's not looking at anyone. He's
Well,
not
you
shy
see,
when he asks it.
this. We are all professional tour guides, and in our profession, we get paid.
My ass, are you a tour guide?
I'm a historian. They are tour guides.
General doesn't need historians or tour guides.
Ah, but you are asking, not him.
Are you asking for history, or are you asking for what it's like to leave this place?
I want to know... Does the sun still shine? Is it still warm? Is it nice?
Karim smiles at the mention of sun.
It's the sun still shines. It is warm. It is certainly not nice.
No. No, I'm not missing out on much then, am I?
Brody kind of glances up from his book for a second. Be like, everywhere's pretty disappointing. Just a little more sunshine outside of the fog.
Encouraging, actually.
Ozras looks like he really wants to disagree with what Lucifer and Modi are saying, but he's like physically holding back a bite back because he's looking at, sorry, tell me his name again.
Cauliflower, but if you can't remember it, you can call him cauliflower.
Cauliflower. Thank you. He's like looking at cauliflower, like sort of looking relieved that it's not that good outside, and is just like choosing not to say anything. Sorry, I interrupted someone.
I was gonna ask, are there any windows in this carriage that we're in?
Yeah, there are.
Can Bray open one of them?
So it's tinted glass. As you move to open one, Cauliflower is immediately, like, he's been pretty lazy with how he moves. His head immediately snaps to it and goes, that doesn't open. Don't try it.
His like cheeks kind of bulge up a little bit, and he has a bit of a green tint to his face. And he like desperately scrabbles at the window.
He just doesn't know how to handle this situation. He's just like clearly weighing up, do I let the guy vomit in this carriage?
Do you have a bag?
No.
Oh,
A bag of barfing.
You're travelers, surely you have bags.
Can I open the door of the carriage?
Make
Wait, it's so not ready for.
Make a strength roll as you're stopped.
It's a 23.
Oh my god! Wow.
We're just gonna die.
Oliver almost like limply puts his hand on yours. You wrench it apart, so desperate to not vomit indoors. And you get the door open. And I assume you'd
Vomit outside.
Is it just for the fresh air?
I puke outside. I get
Puke
incredibly
outside.
motion sick. Unless I'm on a boat. The only place it's okay.
Get inside. No, you can't. Stop. Come here. Vomit,
Wait,
then
one
leave.
second.
No, stop it. Do it faster. Get rid of it.
Why would you have to be on a carriage?
It's a long way.
He like kind of comes back into the carriage, like really pale.
When you've stopped, there is a loud bang with a kind of like rippling sort of noise. And Colitha just like sits straight and goes, fuck, and just steps out of the carriage, pushes you into it, Bray, and slams the door shut. Before he slams it shut, he's like, stay there, and just like, shoves you in. You have no idea
With the
what
door
this
open,
noise is.
what did we see?
With the door open? Ooh, make a perception check.
It was all planned, guys.
100%.
I opened that door for a reason.
Can we all roll for that?
Yeah.
Oh, natural 20, 25.
I rolled an 8. I'm still kind of sick, so I'm just looking at the ground.
Landed on
25?
a 15.
9.
I rolled a 17.
15, 17. Okay, 15s and 17s.
Yeah. Nothing.
The streets up here feel very different to those below. It is darker, still white stone, but rather than colourful painted shutters, these streets are lined with flowers. It's still very beautiful, but they're all silver, pale, ghostly blooms that wind up the building fronts. There are people up in these streets. They are all as white as the flowers around them, or like in some way luminous. This feels very different to the city below, where below it felt pretty pleasant actually, a nice sunset seaside town, very cool. Up here, this feels a little more in the realm of you're out of the graveyard and you found a bunch of goths hanging out. Like, this feels pretty different. And with your natural 20, Lucifer, this bang, this flash bang, the color of the light, it feels like that whiz of light you saw earlier, in fact. The sound of impact, the noise it makes, and you hear when the door is slammed after him, the sound of Colitha's armor, like, kind of clanging as he marches towards the sound of the distraction. You're
I'll
not
take that.
left alone very long until the door opens very, very quickly and closes again very fast.
And is it still dim light outside?
Yeah, it's all dim. All dim light. Nobody ostensibly enters the carriage until a person appears in the seat from which Colitha left. This is a woman. A kind of shock of ginger hair. Very well dressed, perhaps. Quite pretty features, maybe early 30s. Old enough. She sits down in the carriage as maybe to you it looks like she's dropped an invisibility spell. And she sighs and she says, okay, thank God. That worked. You're from the outside, right?
Are you
Adventurous?
native?
Turns and nods.
There's no way she just looked at this group and just said to you from the outside.
Okay, good. Look, I don't have
Oh,
long.
we're just down the road, love.
If you're like the others, you're going up to see the general.
That was the plan.
The others?
I want you to act like you're going to do what he says. Pretend you will. But look. This place is wrong. Okay, I don't have the time to explain it all to you. But I want to leave. And I need you to help me leave.
Does this woman have the same kind of pale skin, kind of dead look?
Insight check her.
$18.
18? No, she looks very much alive. Very colourful. Her skin is a natural human tone. Her cheeks are slightly rosy from clearly having rushed. She looks athletic, somewhat. She's not dressed particularly expensively. Her clothes are largely practical, but it's all very neat. She definitely doesn't look like she's peasant folk or less well-to-do in any way. She's just not wearing loads of fancy clothes. She looks to all of you and says, if you want to help somebody that isn't fucking evil, then help me.
Arim leans over. Sorry, go ahead.
Now, if you're leaning over, she'll give you pause and say, "Yeah, ask some questions because I don't really know what to say. I haven't really thought this one through."
Arim was going to lean over to Mercy, but if there's more to say.
Look, tell the general you'll do whatever he wants. Say it, that's fine. But tonight, meet me at midnight at the barge wharf. You're not going to leave this place alive, none of you. All right? I want to leave. You probably want to leave as well, unless you're fucking crazy. So if you want that for yourselves, you'll meet me tonight. Barge wharf, midnight. Please ask me stuff.
Wait, who are you?
My name's Vesper. What to tell you? Right. I'm from Orakai. It's a city on the Dread Isles. You might have heard of it, I'm not sure. I'm going to put this bluntly. I don't want my skeleton to step out of my meat when I die. I don't want my soul to be sucked into the mist to fuel the Emperor's latest whimsies and whatever his most recent project is. I want to leave. And I'm not going to be able to leave unless him and his general and all his cronies are distracted. And I think the best way to distract him is to kill his fucking druid. And she gets like really impassioned about this. You have zero context for anything that she's saying, and it occurs to her. She's like, his druid, right? She's old, guys. You can't run somewhere like this if you don't have control of the weather, if you don't have the ability to stop the sun from shining, to keep your temperatures perfect for your grapes so you make your nice wines, so you keep your clam farms going to feed the whatever. The Emperor needs his fucking druid. She's old as balls. I need you to kill her for me. I can get you to her if you meet me at the barge wharf at midnight. Will you do it? Yes.
Lo. Oh,
Question.
what, me. There's always me. What about us? What is for us?
You get to leave here alive, is what you get to do. Because you might stay here alive for a while, but when you die, your skeleton will be adding bricks to the Emperor's latest extension to his palace. Your soul will be wrapped into his grasp to fuel the mist, to fuel his latest arcane engine, whatever his twisted fucking mind has cooked up. He's a genius and he uses that to the worst kind of extent, and I don't want any part of it. And you probably don't either, unless the idea of selling yourselves for power or whatever else it is people like that guardsman or others do to get in his good books.
You're risking a great deal. How do you know that we would succeed?
I have no idea that you will. The others haven't even taken me up on it. They've gone into the vault, and they've all died. Or at least I think they've died, they've not come out.
Really, none of them have betrayed you yet.
Well, they've never even met me. I offer them the same damn deal, and none of them will do it.
Do you know what's in the vault?
I have no idea.
You can't go in it.
No, I can't.
Nor can Colitha, nor can
Nope.
General Montague,
Nope.
nor can the Dread Emperor.
Nope. It's why we need people like you to come and do their bidding for them, because they can't do it. They're warded out, blocked from going in. And
You
I
know why?
imagine... I don't know why, no. But I imagine some of the disturbances this place has been experiencing as of late, the lights, sun peeking through occasionally. It's fucking up a lot of the ecosystem. You can't run a place where the majority population is vampires and have sun blasting through every once in a while. They're getting melted in the streets.
If this place
Vampires.
is
What?
beginning to fall apart unless somebody fixes the vault, that's what you want.
No,
Isn't
because
it?
they'll offer more money next time. They will fix it themselves. They will put every little stopgap to fix it. And I can't control that, but I can control asking you to do something for me that I know will work. My life is
So-
fine, but I want to live somewhere sunny.
So
Do they
killing this druid will distract long enough that you can escape?
They won't follow us. They'll be too busy mourning her. There'll be a state funeral for the wave caller. They're dramatic. People will cry.
Mourning often follows vengeance.
Oh, they'll definitely come for vengeance, but they won't follow you past the mist. We'll be well on our way out by then.
Does Vesper look, do they seem mentally stable? Do they seem like they're telling the truth? Like,
Yeah, insight checker.
Is Vesper in disguise? Can I check that?
Yeah.
What check is that? Insight.
Yeah, I think so.
I rolled a 10.
10. She seems desperate to get what she wants.
8 from me.
Same thing.
14.
You get the sense she's pretty earnest. With a 14, she really seems pretty desperate to get what she wants. It's sort of a bit of a like, it's all pretty ridiculous. She's coming at you pretty quickly, and she seems to know that it's coming at you quickly.
What would happen if you were found out?
I don't want to think about it, really.
What happens to us if this goes wrong?
Oh boy. It's not good. It's worse, I'll grant you that, than should you just do their bidding and stay here. But if you want to leave, you'll do this.
Can
And if you
I
want-
make some? Can I make some kind of fate check just to see? that,
Do you want to hedge
that-
your bets?
No, I just want to know that like this is something that hasn't been pre-written in the tapestry already. Like Varsala isn't meant to stay this way, or Varsala isn't. We're meant to fail, or we're meant to succeed. Like it has.
Percentage.
I'm not aware of this being predetermined.
Percentage dice it.
Because I think if I knew that, if it's open, then I wouldn't say anything. If I knew the outcome, then I would say something. 71.
There's nothing here that makes you think that fate wants you to do either of the things.
Okay, great. Okay. Then Mercy says nothing.
Look, I imagine you don't want to stay in the Dread Isles forever. If you want to leave, well, it's impossible to take down the Dread Emperor. You can't do it. No one can. But it is possible to piss him off, make him sad enough that he won't notice a few people escaping. And that's what I'm
Even-
betting on. At the worst, it'll inconvenience him enough he'll have to rethink how his weather control works for his fucking vineyards. He's probably not going to care that she's dead. He will care that his wine production will slow.
It sounds like, and forgive me if I'm wrong, he'll be extremely irritated and distracted, and vengeful to us, and you'll slip out.
There's going to be one ship leaving. If I'm on it, good. If you're on it, better. in everyone in this carriage's interest to leave. But if you happen to
Tell.
like the caustic guardsmen, or you think the general is admirable, or you think that Varsala is a beautiful city you want to stay in, then enjoy it. Choice is yours.
Tell us what you believe will happen, even if we succeed. What happened to the previous mercenaries who took the general's offer? Why
Well,
do you
they-
believe that we will fail, even if we succeed?
They never left the vault. You'll probably die in there. If you succeed, I'm sure the regime will be incredibly grateful to you. They'll certainly thank you. You might even get statues or a beautiful house at the top of Varsala, overlooking the bay. You'll just never leave. And when you die, you'll belong to him. And if that's fine by you, then enjoy it. That's your best case scenario. Then again, maybe you won't die. Life everlasting is one of his hooks. If life everlasting and power is more important to you than, I don't know, living a life free, then don't come to me at midnight.
Who's to say that's not how it's meant to be?
She,
If-
looks at you as though this had just never crossed her mind. Like, that's such an alien concept to her. I don't want to think that I was meant to stay a prisoner in my own country.
Before this, 400 years passed.
Yeah.
I don't know what will happen in the next 100, nor does anyone. But we'll need to think about what you've said. We'll need to talk to the general.
Yeah, don't answer me now. Look, we don't have time. I've taken more than enough of it. That guardsman is thorough. He's keen to do his best. He's not a bad kid either. I feel quite bad for him, to be perfectly honest.
No imagination.
Would you give me your hand, Vesper, for a moment?
No, why not?
He holds out an
Puts
open
it-
palm.
She puts it in yours.
Can I try and see her destiny? Does she have one?
I feel like it's kind of encompassed somewhat in the role that you made earlier.
Okay.
Maybe make
So it's not like ending tomorrow, basically.
make an insight check, but we'll put this DC pretty high.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know. Insight? Is this the one? Yeah, I think so.
I got a 23.
Okay. Well, the 23. Her lifeline doesn't look particularly long.
Okay.
Wait, she looks like Hedgemone.
Does look like Hedgemone.
Kexia?
Good night. So it's FF players.
I don't want any snakes.
That's PA, bro.
No,
Yeah.
snakes is two.
It's
No,
fine.
no,
We'll just
okay,
use
no,
10,
there
he'll be
are
3.
snakes,
It's okay.
wings and
Don't worry.
snakes. Oh, that's true. LB3, it's fine.
Mm.
Okay, that's FF. She snatches her hand back. Like I said, Barge Wharf at midnight. If this works for you. If not, I wish you the best of luck, and I'm sure I will see you at a soiree sometime in our futures. And she casts invisibility upon herself once again, and you see again the carriage door open really quickly and slam shut. And soon after, the guardsman, Colither, returns back in, kind of leans back on his seat, sighs heavily, and thwacks the top of the carriage and says, Honestly, I'm just glad you're all still here. Thanks.
Yep, didn't move a muscle, didn't talk to no one, didn't go anywhere. Nope, we're good.
Why are you being weird about this?
I'm still really sick.
Yeah, fair enough.
How many groups have you escorted to the general?
He'll probably tell you. You're the 6th.
Lucky number 6, eh? Gives him like a little thumbs up.
It's
We've
okay,
put-
Lucy. We'll be fine.
We've put the cost up each time. We thought we weren't paying enough for competent adventurers.
We're real competent.
Yeah, I hope so.
Especially this guy here, and he slaps Maudie's leg.
Jumps a little bit. Just looks at you.
The carriage shakes.
Don't know what you
I
expected.
just want to check, since this isn't normally my show. Finishing time. What?
Up to you,
Normally
my
around
liege.
now.
Now. It's now, isn't it?
Normally around 11, yeah.
It's now. Okay. Okay, good. The carriage journey continues for a while. It's probably about an hour before you reach your destination. And you spend most of it either falling back into your chair because of the incline of the carriage, or falling forward and trying not to land on your friends. It's mildly uncomfortable. Until eventually you come to a stop. You climb out of the carriage, and Colotha even helps some of you out. Frigid, but maybe warming to you throughout the hour, forced in close proximity to human beings. Yeah, I see you had a question there, Erin.
Who in particular does he help out of the carriage? It's very important for information.
Well, he knows Bray was sick, so I think he certainly helps Bray. Osiris, I think he seems to like. He seems to find him quite charming. Lucifer, he
Does not want help.
doesn't sniff at, yeah. Moddy as well, I think, because he looks particularly compressed and uncomfortable in the carriage. He also gets helped. You stop outside a very resplendent mansion. Iron gates encompassing large grounds. The house itself, for something that is in a city, is extremely large. It's almost bordering on country manor, which for a city as built up and tightly packed as Varsala is an obnoxious kind of like floor plan size. Multi-storied, fountains, topiary, sculpted topiary. It's clearly a very, very wealthy estate. You are led up to the entranceway, and the door swings open as Colotha walks past. He doesn't motion at any of... There are guards posted either side. Nobody motions to anyone. He just walks through and the gate swings open. And the same so happens with the front door, which is a massive, like, double-doored affair with archway over the top. At the top of which you can see an archaic phrase written in an old, dead language, which none of you speak, and I'm not going to tell you what the phrase is. It's like the equivalent to some family having a fancy Latin motto. And I don't know Latin, so I'm not going to make one up for you.
As we step out the carriage, can Mercy bend down and whisper something to Collifer in his ear?
Yeah.
Yeah, he just so he bends down and hisses in his ear in a very probably strange voice, and he says, "Collifer Alivan, I still recall when the sun shone over Varsala. To you, bright it was." And it's got the kind of like hiss of like sharp teeth as well. And then just kind of steps down out of the carriage and carries on walking behind everyone else.
He watches you go. You can probably perceive that out the corner of your eyes. He says nothing.
Is that? Did anyone hear or see that?
Yeah, Mercy, you whispering that? How subtle?
Subtly enough to change the warp of this guy's fate. But like it only matters that he and no other of the guards around him hears. But possibly if person behind or the person in front hears, that doesn't concern him too much.
I think as you walk away, you hear a quiet. I don't actually. Strange that you do. I'll say for the rest of the party, I think maybe again the more perceptive of you, so y'all positive modifier wisdom guys, you'll probably see the interaction but not hear the words. You are led in to a foyer. It is rich in color. Dark woods, reds, expensive carpets, tapestries. Let me even change the Roll20 map, in fact. This is an extremely wealthy kind of place. There are guards at every sort of entryway. And Colitha pauses and says, "Find yourself somewhere to sit. I will let him know that you are here. Don't wander, don't touch things, don't do anything stupid, don't vomit on his tapestries, don't... Just behave like people." And he'll head off to the left and leave you sitting there. And it's a while that you sit there. 10, 15, 20 minutes. Again, actually no, all party, can you make perception checks for me, please?
Oh, yes.
7.
18.
Mhm.
8.
11.
Notice nothing.
22.
22?
Imagine having a character without a minus modifier to perception.
Oh, baby.
Huge.
18, 22. Okay, so 18, you hear raised voices from upstairs. Doesn't sound like Colitha. It sounds a raspy female voice, perhaps, and a deeper male one. 22. You make out the occasional word, perhaps. You hear, "It is pain, it's annoying. Can we please do something about it?" You hear, "All right, yes, fine, but..." You hear, like, exclamations, the occasional, like, "Look, I like you know that I like you, but..." It sounds like these two people are probably having some kind of tense argument, but it sounds like on a pretty familiar basis. And after a long while, you hear a really heavy set of footsteps. A really, really heavy set of footsteps. And busting out this door that you saw Colitha walk into is a massive orc woman. Dark blue, grey skin, almost. And, like, quite... like a vast amount of hair that kind of seems to billow out. Practical blue matte linens. Her hair is like adorned with shark teeth, and she looks old as balls, but still incredibly muscular, like leathery. These tusks poking out between her lips are like yellow and cracked. And her face is painted somewhat with what you think could be a skull. But this woman looks like immensely beefy. You can tell she's old, but she looks incredibly fit. She looks at you and she goes, "Oh, look, another set of you. Ah, are you here to see my favorite little general, huh?" She bends
Would
down.
we make guesses about who this person is?
I
You
mean,
don't
she's
really-
old as balls. So
They're
she
old
must-
as balls.
Maybe. She
Yeah.
looks very confident and very colourful. You get the sense she's probably someone important, so you might.
Hello. We're here to see General Montague.
Don't.
We have we
Yes.
followed his we've
Oh,
got
when you say
we've
his
got-
name, yeah. When you say his name, yeah, like really extend the end. It's like Montague. Like make sure it's long as fuck.
See, guys, I told you Osris was right.
Right? And like if you really want to piss him off, yeah, maybe like shorten it. Say something cute. Call him like Monty or something. You'll love it.
Cool. Good to know. We've got this, and he hands the letter with the
Yeah, I
general
know.
signature on it. Oh,
I'll see you in a little bit, yeah.
all right.
And she doesn't leave through the front door. She like strides out into the what looks like maybe it's an opening onto a courtyard, shaking her head, going, "Yeah, that's another one." You're led upstairs, past a great dining hall, through a drawing room in which sits a massive grand piano. It's incredible quality, quite old, but in good condition, like fastidiously kept on a small recital stage. Everything, like every furnishing is like really well kept, velvets on the like chaise longue and all of that stuff. It's candlesticks of gold. It's really, really nice. Very old kind of home. Paintings adorning the walls, scenery that's quite dramatic. Volcanoes, but you think potentially Varsalan still? From what you know of the geography, it is a volcanic set of islands. Country vistas, larger homes. This place is nice. And Colliver meets you at the top of the stairs and says, "Right, well, he's not in the best of moods, but yeah, cool, let's go." And he leads you through the kind of upper hallways of a few stories up. And you are led into a study that is dimly lit by a roaring fireplace. Again, red velvets. The curtains here are drawn, however. There are wine racks on the sides of the walls, and a very, very large desk in the center of it, stacked high with papers. A table pushed to the side of the wall, which looks like a map of the island, potentially some kind of war table, little ships on it, and all of that. And sat behind the desk is a man. He is incredibly fit. A towering figure stood over his desk, leaning down. By your reckoning, at least 6.5 feet tall. He looks human, but his height well exceeds that. He's extremely muscular, and though he looks late 40s, potentially early 50s even, he's lost none of his athleticism. So he stands behind this huge oak desk. His skin is tan, very tan. And it's in some ways almost like he's tan and someone's dropped the saturation slider ever so slightly. Which like sits in contrast to his really deep set of like piercing red eyes, which almost glows slightly in the light of the study. He's got black hair styled in a messy but still kind of stylish manner. He's thought about it. He's got a kind of white streaked beard, stern face with like kind of crow's feet kind of at the corners of eyes. This guy definitely feels somewhat dangerous. And he looks up at you, kind of straightens and says, "Ah, I didn't expect another batch so soon. Pleasure. I'm General Montague, Guardian of Varsala, and you are?"
Lucifer steps forward. We are No Direction. Smiles a little bit at the name. And
Thinks about it. I've heard worse. Go on.
And we've responded to your summons. Your lieutenant spoke very highly of you. And I hope we are able to carry out your mission with expediently and as little problems caused.
I'm glad you're easy to work with. But let me make sure that you're worth working with first. And he will stretch his hand out. A massive fucking sword will snap into his hand out of particularly nowhere. And we'll save the initiative rolls for next week.
I didn't even get a chance to call him General Montague.
Oh, you can do that next week, don't worry.
We fight Monty? Seriously?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Fighting him. What did we do wrong?
We can take him. We can take him.
No, fine. We'll
This is-
save the like I said, we'll save initiative for next week because it's like past time, and because it's D&D, everything takes like double the length of time that you think it does. I meant to have 4 sessions, yeah.
No, you can have more.
I'm gonna petition for more because I feel like we're gonna need more.
What? How could you have predicted
Oh, no.
that? What? No way.
Who
Yeah,
thought we would take
time.
more sessions?
Oh,
More time
no.
for Jamie to write. Yeah, so thank you guys. This was super fun. I had very much fun. I'm looking forward to next week. Do I have announcements or things to say? How do we end the stream? I don't know. I don't have power normally.
You normally thank everyone for watching.
Thank you for watching and
Shit.
joining in. And thank you to my players for being great and coming up with these dope characters. And yeah, I'll see you all next week. Oh, also, new announcements about our second campaign will come soon. So you will want to be involved in our Discord because we're a bunch of friendly guys that talk about D&D all the time and post art of all our characters and shit. If you want to know what we're playing next campaign, or just talk about this session, or ask Jamie stuff about this cool world he's created, and I've tried to seed in some bits and pieces about, then you'll just have to come and talk to us. Oh no. So join our
we are the
Discord in the
worst.
chat.
Thank you, Clood.
Thank
That
you,
was
Clood, so much. Really appreciate it.
Thanks,
You're
Clood.
fine. Thank you all.
Last little shout out, a big thank you to Beidus, who created the avatar maker that we've used for all of our character portraits. If you guys haven't seen their character portrait maker before, it's really, really fun to use. I'll drop a link in the chat. Make sure you go check them out and try out their little portrait maker. You can make your own OCs and your own D&D characters in there.
Yes,
Enjoy.
big thank pages.
Thank you.
That's why everybody looks like a cute anime boy.
All our characters are so
It
What
is
do you
admittedly
mean?
hard to make your character look bad. They will end up looking sexy as hell.
Good.
Yeah. They also look
Like-
young.
I don't have unsexy NPCs in this city, so y'all
Yeah,
can't be
true.
stepping foot on these shores without looking kind of snatch. Cool. I will see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye bye.
How to shut down a rules lawyer.
On a 1, you, my friend, have disadvantage on all dex saving throws until.
I've got like a different idea.
I'm sure you do, but unfortunately, this is just how this place where I don't make the rules. I do make the rules actually, so you have to follow them.
Yeah. Oh, what's that? My connection's getting really bad, guys. I might drop out.
I see.